Well, hey, immediate, just like a live, bam, nothing. Let's see what's going on here. Hopefully everybody's having a good Thanksgiving day. And I'm sure you guys get notifications as they come out. But what'd I get? Okay, let me just pop it up over here. And I got a notification from Better Bee. They're having a Black Friday sale. And they had some interesting stuff. So I figured I would, see what you guys thought about it. Hey, Tim, how's it going? Happy Thanksgiving Day. I got let me see. Let me present it. I wasn't planning on doing a live tonight. I was going to watch Hillbilly Hives live. And then I saw, hey, Sean, I saw that they're not going to be going live tonight for Thanksgiving. So I thought I would just hang out and share what I'm seeing over here. Hey, Randy, happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. But hey, Better Bee, which I get paid nothing by Better Bee, guys. I just saw they sent me an email of Black Friday sales. Yeah, actually, we had a ham today. But I saw some stuff that's on sale at Better Bee that you guys might be interested in. Maybe not, Hey, this 8-frame extractor right here, that's like the wheelchair edition right there. So if you have somebody that's in a wheelchair, this is the accessible one. They've got like $400 off of that. And they got some B-Max boxes. Look at this. An economy extractor, a hand crank extractor for $100. See if we can get a big picture. So it's just it's got a strainer and it looks like some kind of uncapper here, but it's got a hand crank. So if you're small, got less hives, that's like a 2-framer for $100. It's 41% off. And these sales, I think, only run through tomorrow. That's why I wanted to talk about them. Let me see what else they got going on here. The Lyson unassembled kit for deep and mediums. They got a fixed 9-frame spacer for $5.85. They're the hog half comb system. That's expensive. No discount, you notice. $346. Honey dehydrators. 4-frame minima for $245. That's a 4-frame Lyson hand crank for $200, $250. It's not bad. $245. It holds 2 deeps or 4 mediums or 4 shallows, it says. Not bad. Let's see. They got the honey pumps. They're still high as heck. There's a heated creamer, but $2,500. But it is $440 off, something like that. Medium frames. That's a case of medium frames for $193. How much for the smoker? The copper one? Is that the copper smoker you were talking about? I have to go back. Hold on. Let's go back to page 1. Copper smoker, $62. 16% off of it. Looks pretty nice, though. Copper smoker. It's not bad. Let's see. Let's go back. I'm just going over the Black Friday sales. Let's see. License medium with frames. With frames. Oh, that's not bad. If you got the license set up, $54 and it comes with frames. That's not bad. So 10, 30. Yeah, I guess that's about normal, but that's a poly hive, right? They got the Maxant bottling tank with the mixer. So it must have a creamer in it for 23. They've got heavy wax frames, 52 pack for $184. Hey, Lee, you can jump in here if you want to, but I was just, hanging out, bored, my usual bored self today, and saw I got an email from Better Bee on their Black Friday sale. So figured I'd just hang out. And they got push-in queen cages. They're still kind of high, though. They're $2 off, 13%. Feeders. There's a standard smoker, $29. It's 14% off. There you go. There's your turntable for your licensed bottler, Lee. They've got $300 off of it. Unheated creamer, $1,400. Hey, Steve. Good to see you. Happy Thanksgiving. Lee's on the phone. Well, there's they got 100 unassembled deep frames for $134, but they don't have the savings listed. 70-liter creamer, 12 frame motorized extractor, $844. See that one? Looks kind of. It says it's licensed 12 frame. That's kind of. They got the controller on top. It's kind of the basic one. But hey, it's 12 frames. It's not bad. Let me drop a link. I'm going to drop the link, guys, in case anybody wants to pop in on Thanksgiving Day stream. And they got 8 frame, 10 frame cover for $20. That's not bad. B-Max cover, 10 frame, $20. Plastic frames, deep frames, 52 pack for $152. That's not bad. 52 for $152, or 152 divided by 152. That's about $3, right? Nope. Hold on. 152 divided by 52. $2.92 a frame. That's not terrible, guys. So if you haven't checked that one out, might be good. They got the 20. Oh, that's nice. That's a decent price, guys. Right there for the 20 frame license extractor. It's just like mine, only the 20 framer. $11.52 for the 20 frame license. That's not a bad price. It's 10% off, so I mean it's $100 off. Sorry. Ugh. I'm still coughing stuff up from not smoking. Automatic turntable and bottler. They got 12% off of that. They've got medium foundation, 100 pack for $112. They got the premium extractors on sale, about 11% off. Complete 10 frame hive body, $50, but that's with frames, right? Shown with optional wood frames, deep hive body. Commercial. Let's go commercial. Black plastic frames. What's the damage? Let's add it to cart and see what we get. View cart. $50 for a box and 10 frames. That's not bad. That's pretty good price, actually. So if there were $3 a frame, that would be $30.20. Yeah, so that's not bad. That's not a bad price. Get out of my cart here. I don't know. Hive Life, they usually have a discount page for Hive Life. But that's all they got that cassette extractor. Got quite a bit of stuff on. They got the mini turntable bottler, but yeah, I don't have $4,000 to drop right now, even on the discount. They got that stand-up one, Lee, that you were looking at for almost 13% off. So that's not bad. That's it says Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale runs from 12 p.m. Eastern Time today to 11:59 on Monday the 28th. Sale items are available while supplies last, cannot combine with dealer pricing or other savings. Premier and Guardian are 15%. I like Premier. The only thing I don't like about Premier is they don't have an all, and it's not anything I can't say I don't like it about them because they don't offer it. They don't have the plastic, all plastic frames with Premier at the moment. But deep foundation heavy wax 100 pack, $2 or $202 for a 100 pack. So they do have some sales. I wonder is Man Lake running a sale? Let's refresh Man Lake and see if they got a Black Friday, 11% off the entire site. Whoops. Let's see what their deals are here. They got a stainless steel honey keg. It's a warmer bottler for $650. And a bunch of candles. Ultra B single patty, $3. That's high. 9-inch hive tool, but it's not a J-hook, for $3. These are the sales. 10 frame hot box and moisture board. 10 frame top cover, inner cover, bottom board, $40. Some bottles. Really not a lot over at Man Lake on the sale front right now. But it does say site-wide 11%. So you're going to save at least 10% on anything over there, I guess. Top deals. Is that what we were looking at? We were looking at top deals. Pale filter stand. Sorry, I got to mute that. Pro Health. Yeah, not much on there. Not much on their top deals there. Let's see what they got for beekeeping. Beekeeping. Anything special that they're pushing over here? 8-frame reducer. Beetle blasters, drum gaskets, notched inner covers, $20. Corrugated nuke boxes for $12. Jester Easy Nuke, $20. Pallet clips. Yeah, I don't have my windows activated. That's their swarm lure. Don't buy their swarm lure. Buy my swarm lure. Let's see. Boxes, man, boxes have gone up. Look at that. Medium super, $25. $21 for a nuke, pro nuke. That's kind of high. Spacer shim, that's not bad. Nobody wants to hang out, huh? Southern bred Italian queen bee, $37 to $67. I'm surprised that's even on here because you know they're sold out or it's next year. Pick up at Clarkson, Kentucky. If you get it one queen, UPS next day is $67. 17 plus queens are $41 a piece. It's kind of high. That's all I'm saying. No, they canceled it. They said it was canceled. Yeah, the fond for Hive. Let's see. The fondant, the Hive Alive, anything like that in a bulk is going to be expensive to ship. You would imagine because of the weight. If you order 36 plus boxes, they're selling deep boxes for $25 a piece. And that's if you order 36 plus bulk. That's kind of high. Hey, Ultra B is actually lower than I've seen it in a little while. You want to see Hive Alive? Do they carry it there? Hive Alive. That is so high. Look at that. 100 mLs. So 100 mLs is $37.95. It does 10.5 gallons. Apis Biologics that does 52 gallons is $24.95 plus shipping. It's a little bit. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm saying it's out of my price range. That's what I'm saying. See what bulk supplies are looking like. What do they got in bulk? 20 frames for $82. I don't need that much pollen sub. Formic Pro. $18.95 for a top cover. That's not a bad price, really, but if you're going to, how many do you got to order? 10 frame. Max order of 94, it says. I guess there's not a price break. That's just what it is. Charlie.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good.
I just got some Black Friday sale stuff on email, so I figured I would come in here and we'd talk about everything they got on sale.
Yeah, I was listening to you coming up the road on my phone.
And
you said license had $100 off for their 20 framer, something like that.
Yeah, so the 20 frame I think was like $1,200.
Yeah, $1,300. Yeah.
Here, I got it over here. So the one I've got is actually $200 off. It's $1,776. Where's it at?
Now the one guy I was helping out training over the last couple of years, he was actually considering a 30 framer. I said, well, you don't really. He's not going to really get that big, I don't think.
The 20 framer is a $1,152 for the 20 frame.
Normally, what is it, 12 something?
$12.84. So it's $132 off, 10%. And you can get the 30 frame like I got is $200 off right now. It's $17.76. Of course, then you got to pay for shipping, so the shipping is going to be extra. But I think
Yeah,
even
but
like for shipping,
whatever you get off on your thing, it pays for the shipping.
Yeah, it does help with it for sure.
Anything helps.
And then they've got they had a little 2-frame and a 4-frame hand crank. The 2-frame hand crank was like $100. And that, I mean, some people just need a small thing, right? Economy extracting kit. So $99.95 comes with a filter and an uncapper for $99. That's like $70 off. It's 41% off.
Nobody wants them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're buying I learned the hard way, right? So I bought the smaller one, and it worked. It worked for what I needed at the time. So I'm not down in that, you know what I'm saying? But it didn't take me very long to need something bigger. Couple years, right? 2-3 years, and it was time to get something bigger. And next year, hopefully, my 30 frame will get put to a lot better use than it did this year. They have that 8-frame wheelchair accessible one for $12.95.
But
they also look at this.
What's that?
26-gallon heated bottling tank. That's just like mine, only it's 26 gallons instead of the 18 gallons. It's $9.34, 15% off of it. So that's a pretty good deal. So the Lyson actually makes a premium line and and like the line I got. So I've got the one with the red, right? Let me see if I can get to it. They have your Maxant bottling tank with the creamer on it on here. So like the premium line has this is, I can't open them both up, but this one is the premium line, and this one's the one I've got. The premium line has a better looking controller on it. Essentially, it's the same. Only mine has been, their legs have been painted red, and this is red, but the control box is different. Other than that, they're pretty much the same. The same extractor.
Like direct drive.
Oh yeah, that's a direct drive. Mine's belt driven.
Right.
So I like the belt driven one because if the belt snaps, I just can go to AutoZone and get another one. Hopefully it won't snap for a while. Oh, but this premium one has the like the slots you put your frames in, and mine does not have that.
What does yours have?
Well, let's just bring it up. I'm sure it shows in here. So this is mine. Mine does, I mean, it does have slots, but they're not like that. Really? Only one photo? So you see right at the top, it's got these little like triangles.
Right.
That the frames do fit in there. But it's a little bit different. And the control box is different. But you know what? It still just spins honey out. So there's not really, yes, it's the premium is fancier. It's got more buttons. It's got a direct drive. But as far as the operation, all it's doing is spinning, right? All it's doing is spinning honey out. So it's like, there's not much to it once you get it started. But this says it holds 24 D frames. That has not been my experience. I've had 30 frames in it. So,
well, it's like the extract that I have. It's a Man Lake, and your extractor with those slots that are cut in are way better than what Man Lake had. Man Lake's, I think it's an Italian extractor.
They do have, look at this, deep hive bodies with 10 frames for $49.95. That's not a bad deal, especially if you're a guy that's only got to get like, hey, I only need like 2 more deeps or something like that. You know, not like us. Hey, I need 50 deeps. I need 100 mediums or something like that. So that's not a bad deal with that one, in my opinion. Just depends what you need, right?
Yeah.
But this bottling tank, that's a pretty good deal. $934 for the 26-gallon bottling tank. 8-ounce bottles. You get a case of 550 bottles for $175, but they're 8-ounce.
Yeah, they're bears.
No, that's the skep. These are.
Okay, a half pound.
So that's not bad. I mean, I guess you can pick which lids.
How many of them?
550 pack for $175.
Okay. Yeah, I know the one when I buy the bears that are 8-ounce, there are 500 in there. And I don't know. It's been several years since I bought any because they don't sell that much.
That's 32 cents a piece.
Is that including a lid?
Let's see. It says that it's required to get a lid. So let's just go flip top lid. Oh, see, it says add. You got to add for the lids. So you basically are doubling your price. Well, not quite doubling. So it's still, even if you doubled the price, you're looking at 62 cents. I mean, 64 cents for a bottle and lid. That's not terrible. I mean, it's not awesome.
I don't know. I think I'd have to.
Well, you know, we get them from Gamber Container. I don't need lids. What if I just say no lid? It says it's required, right?
Yeah, forget that.
I've got lids, right? I've got 1,700 lids sitting in there, so it's like
exactly
at least 1,400 of them. But that's not bad. And then they got the following labels fit on this container: brother bear, sister bear, mama bear. Okay, so I guess they have the bears as well. Yeah, I've got a discount code for it too, for Hive Alive. It was Robert 10. That's just a. Let me see. I don't know if I can still log into Hive Alive. Let's see. No, not Man Lake. There you go. Hive Alive USA, maybe. I was affiliate. I just never used the need for it. Where's the affiliate program? Ambassador program. I'm already signed up. Where do I sign in? See, this is the pay. This is how you get paid on it if you've got a YouTube channel. So this is how it breaks down.
Now, how does I can't read it, but how does that?
So basically, you share your discount code, mine being Robert 10. If somebody buys on the website with your discount code at checkout, then you get a commission off of what you sell. So you get, like, if someone buys the small bottle that does 10 liters or whatever, then you get a $3.50 commission. If they buy the big one, you get $11.60. 2 liter, 26. 10 liters. I mean, they're just expensive. The fondant, you make 45 cents per 1 kilogram patty. In the case, you make $6 or something like that. Yeah, it's weird because I am. Let's see. Well, let me log in. Probably not. I know I have a now. See, but look here. Use code HA20, bundle and save. Get 20% off all Hive Alive liquid in any purchase of fondant or pollen patty. So use that, guys. Mark, buy it directly from Acorn. Acorn Foundation, you can get it cheap. I mean, you get just as cheap as anywhere else buying it directly from the site. Don't you think, Charlie? Acorn?
Yes, I buy it by the cases. And what I do is, well, I had, what was the guy's name that he retired? He was Tony or somebody. I used to actually email him direct, and he would give me a better deal as long as I bought, I think, at least 4 or 6 cases, and on shipping, because it was I had a commercial location. That's what it was. They always rook you if you have a residential location. And anyway, you can, you're talking 50 frames. Sounds like you're buying 6 cases a lot, but really, if you're doing deeps, you got 52 frames in a case. Well, that's only 5 boxes.
Or 10 nukes, 11 nukes.
Yeah, and I'm going to buy at least a couple cases, and I buy the triple wax. I buy all black frames.
Mm-hmm.
And
I still have 2 cases of Acorn Deeps outside the plastic, and one or 2 cases of the mediums outside still.
Yeah, well, see, I buy mediums also for my, I prefer mediums throughout my honey hives. So, I mean, I think there's, I forget how many's in a medium box. It's 60 or say?
72.
72. Well, right there, that's only a hive. If I got to add on a hive or a super, 10 here, 10 there, 10 there, it's like boom, bing, bang, done.
Acorn bee foundations, plastic bee foundations, $94. That's 100 pieces, right? So 94 cents a sheet for the mediums. The deeps are 105. So $1.
That's just for sheets.
Yeah, that's just the sheets. I just saw where Flower Street said they were looking for foundations and frames, and they do sell foundations frames with the foundations.
Yeah, the wooden. Yeah, in the wood.
Got to go here. Pre-assembled wooden. $117, but how many do you get for 117? Large deep frames, 117. Black foundation. But it doesn't say how many is in a 30 piece. You get 30 for 117. So what is that? $3.30 a piece or something like that? Let's see. 117 divided by, I think it's 30. That's $3.90 a piece, frame and foundation.
Yeah, but how much is black? How much is all plastic?
Oh, $2 and something, I'm sure. Let's see. That's what I've been using, the all plastic.
That's all I do.
All plastic. 1 piece bee frame. 72 for 100 mediums for $104.
Is that triple wax?
No, that's standard. Heavy wax, 125. So here, I'll move my calculator over. So 125, 84 divided by 72, right? That's what we said? No, yeah. Large is 52. Large deep frames are 52. So $2.42 for triple wax, 1 piece plastics. That's a good price. That's the whole reason why I went. You don't think, if you're getting the wood that.
Now I can tell you this. I mean, there's a lot of guys here. They'll say, is it Premier or?
Well, Premier.
Not Premier, but what's the other frame company out there?
Pierce. Pierce.
Or now Pierco. And they'll say in their advertisement, and I've looked it up. Yeah, it's free shipping, all right. but they've buried the shipping into their price per unit.
Right.
And if you look at this, the price of the product plus your shipping, it's still cheaper.
Yeah. So like on this, the medium frames, it doesn't matter if it's white or black.
Heavy wax.
Heavy wax, $2.10 a piece because there should be 72 in the
Yeah,
medium.
there is.
72. So yeah, $2.10. So that's
Well,
why I
click
order.
it back to mediums if you're looking for mediums.
Yeah, this is on medium right now.
Is it?
Yeah, right
Okay.
here. And it's 151.20. So it's $2.10 a frame when you order a case. Premiere, I'm not going to talk bad about Premiere. I haven't used it. I hear a lot of people promoting it, and that could be a great marketing thing from Premiere.
Well, that's just it. I mean, there's certain folks that we know that premiere this and premiere that, and it's like, yeah, you're also getting kickbacks.
Yeah, well,
you're making money at it. I mean, that's just, that's fine. I mean, no problem.
Transparency, though, right? That's transparency. That's fine. So we shot frames. They're $4.10 for a deep. I'm sorry, $4.19.5. So
is that with frames?
That's the frame and the single wax. It's $5 a frame for the frame and the triple wax foundation.
Well, I wouldn't even buy it if it wasn't triple wax.
So the thing, I mean, and they sell frames, I guess, just $1.80 for a frame. And I'm not kicking, like I said, I haven't used it. I've only used the Acorn. So I can't really do a comparison side by side. I hear they're good. I don't have anybody say anything bad, but I haven't had anybody say anything bad about the Acorn either. So it's like, for me, if they're equal, then it comes down to price. If it's an equal product, it comes down to price to me.
I know a lot of folks talk about the wooden frames, but there's things that I like about the plastic. Number one, you can take your hive tool and scrape the wax off the top, the burr comb, a whole lot easier on plastic.
Right.
And the downside of plastic is if they're really stuck in the hive, you got to watch about crushing the ears, especially if you're using a J hook and you're using the other frame next door to it as a leverage point, it'll crush that frame, that ear. So you have to watch. That's the only downside of the plastic that I see. And they'll all talk about the hive beetles. Well, I don't really see. I have seen some today are actually dead on my drop board, but yeah, I don't have a problem them going in them little holes, and I have a problem with wood. They love to put a 1/4 inch of propolis on the shoulders. And when you're doing wood, you got to sit there and scrape shoulders before you put it back in order for it to fit in the box properly.
Well, I was all about the wood frames, and I don't, but 3-4 years into it, it seems like I'm having to replace some now because, like you said, the dog ears, they get propolized together and you go to pry the frames apart. Next thing they just split off or something.
You don't have that. You don't have that in plastic. Now they might fill some of them holes in the edge of the plastic up with propolis, but I don't really care about that.
And the Pura hive bodies don't appear to be any more expensive than any other one, right? So $23-24. It's about the same. That's not bad. With the frame,
and the only thing they're doing is they're using a dovetail cut instead of a box joint, which is a finger cut.
And they got a fancy schmancy handle. I mean, it's nice. They look good to me. I'm not trust me, I'm not downing them. I just can't speak from experience of using them. I see some of you guys have used them.
Well, the only other thing is like your wooden boxes, like we talked here a couple nights ago about where they've wax dipped them. You know, I've never experienced any
So assembled is $32.95. Unassembled is $20.95. Nope, that's deep. 23. So they're charging $9 a cent to assemble them.
That's pretty high.
But
Now, is that price? Does we get a quantity discount?
It says free shipping over 150. Let's see.
Dollars, you mean?
Yeah, over $150. You buy 5 hives, you get 5% off. 10 hives, you get 10% off. 20 hives, call for pricing. So I like the 10 hives, 10% off, and that's just easy math in my head. That means if you buy 10, you got 1 free. So every 10 hives you buy, you're getting, or hive bodies, you're getting 1 free. I would imagine using this structure, probably 20 will get you 15%. But yeah, they look really nice.
Yeah, flower. As far as I don't harvest propolis, so I mean, you know, everybody has their preferences and everything. If you're into propolis and making tinctures and stuff, I mean, you know, the wooden frames, I'm sure, is the way to go for you.
But yeah, it looks. I mean, for me, it just is like, obviously, can you build a box cheaper than you can buy it?
No.
Yeah. Well, maybe not anymore, but at one time you could, right?
Well, you know, I don't know. I mean, I'm in the business, the lumber business, and and by you count your time, and then if you have a box cutter, as far as the joints go, you either going to put a rabbet joint in there, you're going to cut a rabbet, or you're going to cut a dovetail like they're doing there, or they're going to cut a box joint. Now, Jason at Bohemia Bee, he has a box joint cutter. I don't know how much that cost, but a couple $1,000.
Yeah, they're expensive, like $3,500, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, it's just like assembling. I assembled, I don't know, 20 or 30 boxes, some nukes or whatever. And it took me several hours to do that, quite a few hours. And I don't know, I work 5.5 days a week most of the time. And I guess you might say I value my time. And I just rather pay the other, it was like 10 boxes.
You
pay the Amish guy up to Pennsylvania for an extra $30 and it's done. All I do is pick them up and paint them.
Yeah, well, you work with wood all day long. The last thing you want to do when you get off is work with wood, right?
Yeah, that's about right.
Well, hey, so Hilco, they've got their hive, I guess their pre-order on sale stuff going on right now for Hive Life. They got frames for $1.39, budget grade deep boxes for $16. So they got some sales going on. Mediums for $15, $25. Again, I haven't used his boxes because geographically I would have to get them shipped across the universe to get to me. But they got an uncapping tank for $4.99. That's pretty good. Their extractors, 18 frame for $1,000. That's not bad. 24 frame for 15.
That's a little high.
Yeah, if I'm gonna get a 24 frame, probably would go ahead and get the License 30 because it's only a little bit more.
Yeah.
Just my preference, guys. Not trying to sell y'all on anything. But Mark, yes. The Acorn foundations will go in the Man Lake wood frames. If you get the, which ones do you need? The wedge top frames? Is that the one you need, Charlie?
Yeah, I think it is. You don't want the split bottoms. When you're doing that, the split bottoms are for wax foundation, and the wedge frames, I think is what they call them, solid bottoms, are for the plastic.
Look at that. They got a 32 frame for $19.59. The only thing I don't like about this and this is a preference thing, guys. It's not a brand thing. But The Lyson, I mean, that doesn't look like rubber. It could be rubber, but it looks more like a plastic leg thing. The Lyson comes with rubber feet guards, and I don't care for the motor being right here on top. That's the only thing, and that's a preference thing.
That's the way mine is. It's direct drive with a motor on top and all, and the controllers on top.
Yeah,
The biggest problem is on that lid on the, like, if you're looking at that just like you got it there, the lid on this side, I have to raise it up, and it's made so I can slide it sideways and unlatch it. And I put it off to the side, fill my extractor up, and then put it back on. And it's just a piece of clear plastic that seems to be hinged. It might stay up and out of the way.
and
I like the steel. I don't like their nylon or plastic, as I call it,
this one doesn't. This
wheels.
32 framer has stainless wheel in it, so this is like an upgrade from the other one. The other one does not have this piece of stainless. It's like a
Yeah, Daisy. It's American assembled, where he's put them together out of a box. He's got a video showing that. I think Mike Barry did that video. But the bottom line of it is, it's Chinese.
and he's got some bottling tanks here. But see, this tank here,
It's not a heated tank, I don't think.
this one is for
Is it?
they got it for $829. And I mean, it's showing a dripless valve on it. That doesn't look too bad.
He had one there this year that had a plastic thing on there, and I looked at that and I said, "What a piece of junk."
This actually looks water jacketed with this piece right here.
Yeah, it's definitely water jacketed because it's got a submergent heater down there on the right,
Yeah. So,
and then there's a drain plug off to the left.
but there's no clear tube like to see the water
No,
level.
he's got that one right there where it's coming up into that piece of.
I wonder if you fill this up, does this piece actually like stick up and show you how much the water level is in it?
No, I think there's a glass sight. There's a sight glass off to the right there. It looks like it's been cut out. It's a piece of bronze.
Okay. Well, that's
Have to look at it at Hive Life, I guess.
but yeah, there's some good sales going on right now. Just depends on what your needs are, right? And what you want to get. I have an uncapping tank. I don't know what's the length of this one. Holds 27 frames, 40 inches. That's probably 40 inches is probably, let me see, inches to millimeters. 40. So that's like the 1,000 ml. One from Lyson is about the same size as that. I've got the 1,500, 59 inches.
Millimeters?
Yeah, they're measured in, what the heck do I got going on over here? Hold on. Back here. Here we go. But that's a good price. $500. That's a good price for that.
What's it look like inside?
Yeah. Well, see, it's just similar to the Lyson. It's got the tray here that when you uncap, the honey falls on, or the wax cappings fall into these trays, and then the honey drips through to the bottom, right? Let's see what the bottom of the tank looks like. Nope, that's the valve. I don't like that valve. Mine's stainless. Oh, what happened? Sorry. Yep. What is that? That's the bottom. That's a bottom drain plug?
I guess.
I don't know. It's not a very great picture of it. Is it flat bottomed?
Mm.
So
It's
that's
It's probably pitched.
So I guess this is the bar where you'd put your frame and uncap it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird because I can't tell by that photo if it slants down. Like mine has a slope bottom down to a V. Let me see. You got to have a pail under at all times. Well, honestly, other than like Man Lake and Daydant, you're not going to find too many American-made anything anymore. It seems like in beekeeping. I'll give you my honest opinion of why I went with Lyson compared to like some of these other ones. And first things first is, let me stop this share. We can get big again. All right. So the reason that I went with Lyson compared to Maxant or something like that was purely price. The reason why I went with Lyson over one of the Chinese companies, because Lyson is more expensive, right? But in my mind, my mom's German, and I know how Europeans are with their money. They want to spend their money one time. They don't want to keep having to repurchase and repair and repurchase. They spend their money once, right? And they try to make their decisions to where they just do it one time and it lasts as long as they need it to. So that's the
Now Mark's asking, did I have the wax come off while I'm extracting out of plastic acorn? No, I have not.
Well, I have had it when I was uncapping, like using my uncapper. If my uncapper wasn't hot enough when I was cutting, I've had it peel off.
The comb right off the wax foundation?
Yeah, pop right off of it.
I've never had that any problems.
But
now when it comes to uncapping, I use a Maxant wax plane or honey uncapping plane, which most people use a knife. The only reason I have it is I bought a guy out years ago. No, I got an electric.
Oh, you got the heated one?
I got the $200 one. It's $200, but it's a heated uncapping plane. A guy had that. He had a Maxant 6 or 8 frame extractor, motorized, the one small one that Maxant still sells. And he had a couple hot knives. And I got used to using the plane. You can actually set the depth of how much wax you can cut off, and it was already preset. It cuts off. Basically, the best way to describe it, it cuts it off so thin. It's about like cutting off paper towel thickness.
That's what my uncapper does too. But what I find is that
compared to, let's say, a hot knife, if you don't gauge it, I've not had a lot of experience with a hot knife, but you can cut a lot of wax off with a hot knife if you're using the side rails as your gauge.
Yeah, that's the same thing I have with my uncapper, right? So first of all, my uncapper, you have to have an uncapping tank to use or it's useless, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is that the V blades on mine have to be adjusted up and down based on the thickness of the comb. Now, where that's an issue is not all your comb is going to be the same thickness. So you can't just set it and do them all the same. So I might run it, slide it, flip it, slide it again, and then still have to take my fork and pick some off before I put it into the
Yeah,
extractor.
well, see, that's where, I mean, I'd love to have, if you can run 9 frames and you can get the bees to draw it out and all that, your machine will work great. And all the mechanical machines out there will work great as
Mhm.
long as the wax is proud of the frames.
I didn't make
And
a capper.
with I'm still doing it by hand with a Maxan hot plane.
Mhm.
And you'll see videos of it where they will go from, stand up the frame up on this end and they'll go up or down the comb like they do with a knife.
Right.
Well, with mine, I just, I didn't know. I went across the frame. I'll say 5 swipes. I'm going
Right.
across. I'm going like this. I'm pulling it towards me across the frame. Now, with that frame, it's got or the cotton capping, it's got it's kind of like a basket where that wax will slide up and curl. And that basket, you can use the handle and you kind of like move it away from the frame or into the frame for the depth of cut. And if that frame happens to have a low divot area and then there's a high spot, I can follow the curvature of the wax and I'll cut 98% of it with that machine and not have to use a cap and scratcher. That's one of the advantages to it.
I'll
Yeah.
no, I didn't make a video of my uncapper. However, there is one online, and I can show it to you right now.
Now, Daisy, you're right. If you don't watch, that's the biggest problem I have with that uncapping plane is it'll get too damn hot and then it'll caramelize the honey on that blade. So it does have that on and off switch. And you have to kind of like, when you start seeing it or kind of tell it's getting a little too hot, then I turn it off, and then I keep on uncapping. And then between frames, I turn it on and off. But if it gets caramelized on there, it will not cut very well. You have to take a scrubby and wash that thing and scrub that caramelization off there. I'm gonna grab something to eat here, or drink. Hold on.
All right. Lee's got the same one. That's it. Just slide it and it slices both sides off. Of course, the thing is with it is that the thickness matters on the frame. So if you're using all the exact same frames, then at least it's a little more consistent. But the one that I use, I've got deep frames, I've got deep wood frames, I've got medium wood frames, I've got medium plastic frames, so they're all like different. So it's I like it. Honestly, I didn't pull a whole lot of honey this year because of the amount of splits that I did, right? So I didn't have like this crazy massive honey harvest this year. Couple 250 pounds, something like that. So it wasn't crazy, but I do like it. It's just a matter of getting used to it. And last year I went through 75 pounds of wax foundation, too much time invested in building frames. Yeah, see, and Mark, that's what I had to come to grips with. It became either you're going to save money or you're going to save time, right? So what's more valuable to you? So I went with the plastic frames, which were cheaper, and I didn't have to put them together. But I do like the wood. I I do like wood frames, but I like the plastic frames too because they're not as tight fitting in the box. So it gives a little bit of room and it's easier to work with the frames once they get drawn out. Now, what I didn't do this year on my frames is I didn't give them an extra coat of wax, but I will. The ones that I put in this year, I will. I'm going to hit them with some wax, and hopefully that helps them grow them out faster, draw them out faster. But I don't have really the licensed stuff that I bought. I really enjoyed the tabletop or the solar wax melter works great. The extractor works great. The bottling tank works great. The pneumatic, I still think I'm the only person in America that's got it other than Better Be, that bottling valve. That to me was the best thing ever. It was so worth the money, Charlie.
Now, why is that? I mean, it isn't like an automatic where it already pre-measures or anything.
No, but it frees your hands up. So I don't have any honey bottles in here, but I can take a honey bottle and hold it under and have the cap ready. Step on the pedal, fill it up, cap it, set it to the side. Grab a bottle, step on the pedal, fill it. I mean, it's just.
I can see that if you're selling it by the case or you're.
Well, I bottle it all up at one time, right? And I get all my bottling done. Where the drawback is the fact that I bottled it all up at one time, right? So now
I bottle as I sell.
Yeah, see, and that might be a better way in the future. But again, I didn't have like 500, I didn't have 10 5-gallon pails to do. I did a couple of harvests of 10 gallons at a time and did it that way. So,
well, see, my thing is if you're bottling, it's like, okay, you have a run on, let's say 2-pound bottles and you got all these ones. And I'm like, man, I need it. Like you're saying, when you don't have a whole lot of honey, it's like, it's always better to whatever's selling the most,
Right. Well, to give you an idea, I mean, guys, this is things you can do that might help your sales. Maybe they won't. This video is not, it is a little bit long, and you will have to not mind my mess.
If you
Hold
overdraw
on.
your account, Wells Fargo gives you an extra day grace period to avoid the overdraft fee.
All right, so I'll skip ads. I'm going to pause that. And, I still have it on here, so I can add it on. All right, so why is it so far into the video? Hold on, sorry, guys. If you haven't seen this, let me get past my little intro. I'll show you me with my beard because that's nostalgic at this point. So if you don't have one of these and you're using the single drip valve,
ordered a case of.
All right, here we go. So I had somebody order a case of. Man, I got stuff everywhere in there.
Still,
not anymore though. It's clean now. But that valve right there with the foot pedal, it is loud. Got some honey in there.
I think we got it enough to where.
So you just step on the pedal, it opens up. And this was the first time I used it, so I was still getting used to the timing, right, on when to stop the valve so it doesn't overflow and stuff. Like that was too much, right? So. But like I got a camera in one hand and the bottle in the other, and the only reason I have music playing is because of the compressor sound. I didn't want to blow everybody's ears out. Yeah, I did make a mess in a second. But you see, it's dripping a little bit because I should scrape it and stop that one drip. But I learned my lesson. I put a 5-gallon pail under the bottom. Yeah, there's the mess. But then it's just easy to fill. I got another GoPro back there right here going. Multiple angle shots right there, Charlie. Look at that. Professionalism. No, just kidding. But that valve Yeah, I mean, you got to have a compressor, but the valve was like $430. Now, keep in mind, that's double what the one drip lever valve is, right? I get it. And Sean, I haven't seen Cayman do a giveaway yet, but that was pretty perfect. I probably added some more still yet, but it's just, you see the big box of bottles from Gamber container over there. I just had stuff everywhere in there. See my old extractor sitting back here that I gave to Dennis and the Upstate Bee Club up there. But it's easy. And now I'm more skilled at it, right? But you're right. Bottling less at a time is definitely better.
Well, what I normally do is I'll keep at least 10 to 15 1-pound bottles bottled. I'll keep around 10 2-pounders. I'll keep at least 4 3-pounders bottled. And now 3-pounders don't sell a whole lot. And I'll keep maybe, let's say 6 bears. They're not, you go in spurts. You'll go for a while and everyone's coming through the place is, I want a bear. And then one week I sold a couple 3-pounders in a week, which is unusual. If you sell one of them a month, you're doing pretty good.
And I've had people come, it's like this year people are starting now, more people are starting to know I'm here and know I'm selling honey. So more people are just like randomly stopping during the week and knocking on the door and stuff like that.
It's like any business. It takes about 5 years, and the word of mouth, it gets out, and people keep coming in.
So that's one reason why I haven't been going to the curb and sitting there, because I'm trying to make my honey last a little bit longer for the people that actually come back over and over and over again. But now
that's where all those 20 honey hives come into the situation.
Right. Next year, hopefully it won't be the same, the same thing. I'll have more in production. And
well, you get up about it's like, for me, 800 to 1,000 pounds of honey is what you need. Last year I did 1,100 pounds, and it lasted me a year and then some, a little bit more than a year.
Now Flower Street, did you buy the same valve that I've got, the pneumatic valve, or do you have the a gate, or what are you running on yours? It's it's pretty, I can't say, there's a couple things that I really don't like about the Lyson. One thing is, it seems it's got a timer on it, and I haven't figured out how to shut the timer off and just leave it at the consistent temperature that I want it at, right? So it runs for like 12 hours or something like that, and it shuts it off, and I have to restart it.
Yeah, well, I have a Max Ant, and I set the merchant heater, and it
just stays at that temperature, right?
Well, yeah,
off.
right now I got it to where it kind of depends on what kind of honey you're putting in the tank. But right now I have new honey in there that's not crystallized, and I just want to keep it from being crystallized and not warm enough just to pour nicely.
Right.
So I got it. You have to sit there and play with the dial because it's not that accurate. And you have to watch when it comes on and goes off with the temperature gauge that measures the temperature of the honey. So it's running between 92 and 98. And it'll come on and maybe run for 5 minutes every couple hours, maybe.
Right, like a water heater, basically.
Yeah, like a water heater. And that's what it works fine with me.
That no drip valve, we call it the one drip because there's always still one drip that comes out.
It's a one drip valve.
Those things are $200 for that valve.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, well, I like those, but that was the big thing. It's like, well, it's still manual, and it's $200, or I could spend $400 and get the air one. So I spent the $400. You know, like you said, cry once, right? Buy once, cry once. So, so that was my thoughts on it. I mean, again, I don't have the one. Everybody uses those one drip valves, so I there's nothing I could say negative about them. You know, Cayman Reynolds uses that valve.
Yeah.
Mark says, "I've got plenty of honey, buddy. Sail it." Mark, where are you located? I probably already know the answer, but I could sell more honey. I mean, I have people calling me for bulk. They want to buy it in bulk. And I tell them, no, I don't sell it in bulk. And the reason is because I don't have like surplus honey to where it, you know what I mean? Where I can't sell everything.
The thing of it is, like my friend who is a honey packer, he buys drums of honey. And if you look at the prices in like the ABJ magazine, where the going rate for honey is $2.50 a pound. And that's what you're
when
doing.
You buy it in a 55-gallon drum.
Yeah. 55-gallon drums, $2.50 a pound. And then you can turn around and sell it for, let's say, $5, you know, and you're making $2.50. And I was up there at his house one day, and a lady, they must be eating the hell out of honey. She was buying it by the 5-gallon bucket just for their personal use.
Yeah, but I can sell it. All right, so let's talk beekenomics. Beekenomics. 55-gallon drum is around $1,200, right? You might be.
I guess. I'm not really sure.
So there's 55-gallon drums is
like 650 pounds or something like that.
650 pounds. So 650 pounds, if you sell it at $10 a pound. Oh, I don't have my screen shared. Crap. Sorry. 650 pounds times $10 a pound. And that's going to vary based on where you're at. That's $6,500. Profit. Well, that's $650 retail. Then you can minus out your $1,200, let's say $50 for the tank. You've made $5,250 off profit off of that bucket. Now, the problem is you're no longer selling necessarily local honey unless you're getting that from somebody local, right? Then you could still say, well, it's local honey. You know, I sold buckwheat honey here one time that I bought off of somebody, and we don't have any buckwheat here, but people bought it like crazy. It's sold out. But the thing was,
you can call Better Bee up and they'll send you some honey.
Yeah, they'll send me honey. But the thing is that I didn't say that came from my bees, right? I told them I got it from another beekeeper, and they bought it. And you know, so there is profit to be made reselling honey. You just got to, it depends on your state laws and all that stuff. But yeah,
it's just like up here at the state fair. I mean, we're selling Arms Blossom honey now. Is that local? Duh. Hell no, it's Florida.
Right.
Yeah. You know, it came out of a barrel. Or, you know, thistle honey. Well, that comes out of the Midwest. It just, you know, I don't know.
But people do, they buy the honey. It's kind of a thin line when they come to your house and buy it and they see your beehives, right? Well,
it's like me. They'll come into my business and, well, where's your hives at? I said, they're right up behind that barn up there. If you want to go look at, you know, especially in the summertime, I said, if you want to go look at them, they're up there.
Right.
And it's important for them because they want real local honey because they have allergy problems.
You know, I really enjoy it. Like yesterday, I had a Oriental family stop by, and it was in the 70s. The bees had been cooped up for a few days, so they were real active flying and stuff. And there was a young child, a young boy in the back, and he was just amazed. You know, it was like the greatest thing he had ever seen in his life. And, you know, that to me, that's exciting because that's something that maybe that kid says, you know what, that guy's doing it. Maybe one day I'll keep bees. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You just don't know who you're influencing at that point. And that makes it pretty.
You'll find a lot of, or at least I have in my area, a lot of Latino folks really love their honey,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll buy a lot of it. And I have a lot of folks here that either the kids have allergies or they have allergies, and I tell them, I said, I've got a dozen people come in here and they swear by it, it's cured them or reduced their allergy symptoms.
Well, see, DC, that's awesome right there. See, and states have different rules. So my rule here in South Carolina is I can sell 4,900 pounds direct to individuals, right? So Charlie, if you came to my house and you wanted to buy honey, I could sell it to you. But as soon as I sell it to like your people across the street, right? The co-op, as soon as I sell it to them for them to resell, I have to go through a whole health inspection process on my facilities, which means I probably would have to have running water in my honey house and all kinds of stuff, like a restaurant. And
now, see, we don't have any of that stuff. I got my friend up the road here. We were talking about, I don't know whether we finished that conversation last night about the brood, and they do like about 1,000 pounds of honey a year plus Ross rounds, and they live right next door to a peach orchard, apple orchard, an orchard,
right.
And they have a public place there where they sell their fruits and vegetables, and they buy their honey wholesale and sell it. And
well, I've done this. I've bought some honey to resell, and I typically pay about 200 to 2.25 a 5-gallon bucket, and which is, it's 200 and some bucks that you're putting out.
Well, about $3 a pound.
But you're making $10 a pound, so that same 5 gallons I'm selling for $600 ish. Sometimes it's got a little bit more, sometimes it's got a little bit less, but I only do that when my supplies start running out, right? Just to make it till I can pull some more honey.
I tried that one time and I really didn't like the flavor was noticeable. And I don't know I have locust trees along the road that my bees must really hit hard and make my honey. And along there, and there's another grove of trees across the road. It's poplar trees. And my honey's, I don't know, you can taste it coming out of the extractor, and it's like eating pure candy. It's so sweet. And it's like cotton candy. And so I tried that one time when I didn't have the volume of honey coming in yet because I was growing my hives. And people said, it's a little bit more zingy or whatever it was. I think the honey came from Western Maryland, which was still considered local because it's over 100 and some miles.
Right.
But yeah, I think it was more of a fall honey, maybe some
darker color probably.
Yeah, it was brownish, but it was probably goldenrod, maybe a little bit of goldenrod in there or something. It had a little bit of, tart taste to it. I finally got rid of that bucket of honey, that 60 pounds of honey. And I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to sell my honey, and that is it. And then after that, I'm boosted up. Right now, I got a dozen honey hives plus my nukes that I sell. And then I started doing the single brood chamber management program, which I don't know. Some people,
I haven't noticed. Now, I'll be honest with you. I haven't noticed a huge difference this year, because this was the first year I went to the single brood management, right? So I didn't really notice a difference this year, but that's because I split so much, right? I had split and grew and everything. So there was a lot going on in my apiary this year. Next year,
you were focusing on expansion
yep.
and not so much honey production.
So this year,
once you get your expansion, you know, it depends on, you know, it's like this year. All right. Last year I got 1,100 pounds of honey, more honey than I've ever made. I was like, whoa. First year I ever did single brood chamber management. This year I had queen issues. I had rain. The damn tree trimmers came along and trimmed the trees along because there's power lines there. They trimmed my locust trees back. So there goes a ton of blossoms. So
but I'm not sitting very pretty as far as my colonies. I'm not sitting great compared to where I was. And to answer your question, I guess it would be the Department of Agriculture, but we don't really have anybody that comes around and checks our bees or anything here in South Carolina. So it's like, you know, and then do they really know how much honey you've produced? They don't, because it varies so much every year. You know, there's nothing saying, you don't have to file a report, I produced this much, or there's no way of tracking it. Most of your honey customers pay with cash when they come to your house and buy it. So it's not like, it's hard to track. But yeah, I mean, I can sell 4,900 pounds, which is $50,000 worth of honey, you know, which I don't have a need to go to markets and stuff because I don't have enough honey really for the people that just drive to my house and get it at this point.
How many pounds did you actually produce this year? Do you know?
Like 250 pounds.
Dude, I sell that in a couple months.
Yeah. And then I've bought 1 5-gallon pail. So, you know, so we're looking at 310 pounds.
So hopefully next year you're going to produce 500, maybe 600.
You know, all right. So if we want to go, let's go, how my year went. I started, coming out into spring, I had 15 colonies. I had 3 die out at the end, right? So that took me down to 12. Then I did those early splits. So if you do 3 frame splits like I did, that's 3 10-frame colonies, right? That were basically split into 10 nukes, right? That's 30 frames. All of those died, the first ones. None of them made it.
Yeah, that was when you did it too early.
So I wiped out 25% of my own colonies. So now I'm starting with 9, right? I had it with my 2 framers and everything. I was sitting at 60 during the year. 60 boxes had bees in them, right? And right now, as of yesterday, when I didn't count them today, but yesterday I counted them with the bees flying. I had 23 colonies at this point. Right now, I've got 23 colonies.
I went out there today and it was about 53 degrees here today. Everybody was a-flying. So I had vaporized this past Saturday, I guess it was. So I was checking mite drops. And then I would also check, I'd pull the top off of those nukes behind me. And there's an inner cover. And usually you look at the hole and there'll be a ton of bees either come boiling up out of there, or I'll pop the inner cover off there if they're just kind of laying in there to see where they're at. And pretty much still expanding.
Are you still expanding? You pretty much
right
now and sell the nukes that you split off of.
Yeah, I take the nukes and then I sell them I basically sell them about the week of Easter week. And right now I'm down to 14 nukes, which I promised a couple of people already. I know I owe some people some nukes from last year. Well, I need to build. I've been in a situation where, as far as size, I had, counting nukes and counting 10 frame hives, I had the highest was like 37 hives, close to 40.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the middle of the summertime, I'll have another 20 mating boxes on top of that when I'm doing queens, maybe up to, and I can actually go up to 30 on them. So I'm by myself, doing it all by myself. And I try to have some help in here the last couple of years. And, they never, it's like, you be here when the bees say you have to be here.
Right.
You can't do it on your schedule. And my schedule is every Saturday from 1 o'clock. I work most of the time, a half a day at the mill, retail. So then I get out here Saturdays from 1 o'clock on, and it might be 7 o'clock in the evening when I get done. And I might work Sunday too.
Well,
but what I'm getting at is right now I have space for 20 nukes, and I took some space away from my nukes to give me a dozen honey hives, and that's enough.
So
that's 32 hives that I got it full with. I had close to 40, and it was just too much work for one person.
So here's the thing. Since we're talking about kind of the business aspect of beekeeping, right?
Yeah.
We're not focusing on the treatments and how we do what we do and stuff like that, really. But let's talk about, we've been talking about the business part of beekeeping, and it's fitting because we're coming down to the end of the year. We're in the off season of beekeeping, right? So we can kind of recap. Where do you find the most profitable part of beekeeping for you? I think for me personally, this year, it's not the honey. Honey is the most work. But it is sustainable as far as year long, right? You could, if you produce enough honey, you could have honey all year long to sell. So
I do.
That is a stability thing in beekeeping, right? You can't sell
if you want
long, and you can't sell
if
nuke.
You want a quick turnaround in your money, then nuke sales is the way to go. So if you nukes around here are $200 a pop. So if
are
you
they
sell
their own boxes, are you providing them?
No, it's $200, and then you gotta buy them Man Lake cardboard boxes.
The cheap ones cheap.
Well, they ain't cheap. $12 to me is high as hell as far as I'm concerned.
And that is the non-waxed corrugated cardboard box. That's not the.
Well, I have some connections,
Oh yeah, I know you do.
And the thing of it is, Man Lake sells the wax ones. I think it is. I think they're waxed. And then a friend of mine, he puts them together because he's got a big fancy stapler. It's a real long neck thing,
right,
in order to staple them things together. And then he's got himself a great big, I'll say at least a 6-inch hole saw. And where them perforations are at the end, he hole saws that open. And then he puts 1/8-inch hardware cloth over top of that so they can breathe, because they get overheated. And that's very nice. He was doing, one year he did both ends, and then this past year he did one end because it wasn't quite as hot. And there's a lot of money involved in them damn things.
Well,
so I mean, $200 seems to be the going rate.
Yeah.
So you got, I don't know, $12 invested in the boxing. Or if you can get somebody to come in there and say, hey, bring your own boxes, that's the way to go. Now, I had a neighbor up here. He had a ton of those Jester boxes,
right,
and Man Lake boxes.
$20 this year.
And that's expensive, And he said, do you want them? I said, yeah, bring them on down. And I had 20 boxes given to me. That's $200 and some savings, and at least I still got some more out there. and he had more than 20 boxes. I guess he maybe gave me 30 of them. I don't know. But now everybody talks about those plastic jobs, which are nice.
Yeah,
But if you're going to do them plastic things, then I'm going to say, okay, there's a $30 deposit on them things. So it's $230 and you can keep the box or you can bring it back and I'll give you $30 back.
I think you would be better off, honestly, if you just said, hey, you're going to have equipment to put this in. You would be better off to say, bring your equipment. I'll load these in your equipment for you here. And then we'll close them in with hardware cloth and staple it. Because then you're just buying a thing of screen or hardware cloth, right?
And I've done that. And the problem that you're going to find is, especially
the frames,
they won't be, don't use their frames. You don't want none of their frames. They'll bring you a 10 frame box in. I says, this damn thing needed to go to the burn pile. It's junk.
Right.
And then you wind up buying I always have the Hive staples, 3 big staples,
right.
Staple the darn bottom board on, and all that stuff. I
found duct tape works well.
Yeah.
Duct tape, like a migratory cover on. But, back to the business part of it. So this year, I think it's more about finding your niche. When you go as a beekeeper and look for something, what are you having a problem finding? In my area, it was queens. We always had to order queens online. We had to find queens. We had to get them shipped to us, right? And then you introduced me to Octavio down there. And so I sold 100 queens this year. From Octavio, altogether 100 queens. Now I only made $12 a piece because I don't breed queens. If I breeded queens, those 100 queens would have made me much more money, right? So I made $12 a queen. So I made $1,200 profit off of queens. Not a lot in the scheme of how many queens I sold.
$1,200.
It's $1,200. And you know what? That $1,200 also gave me personally all the queens I needed. If I didn't have a queen and I wanted to make a split, I had queens. I could just get
There's one thing. It's one, when you learn how to graft and make your own queens. When I learned how to do that, what's his name? Out in Kentucky showed me how to do that. He was Kent Williams. He was a speaker at Hive Life this past year. In 2019, I went to Knoxville, Tennessee. The local bee inspector put on a show called The Honey Show. And it was local folks talking about different techniques. But Kenton was there from Kentucky, and he learned. We did live grafting in a classroom. Great. It was wonderful. You might not have got the right size age larvae, but you got the technique down. And from that point on, when I came back that year and the technique of grafting, we're using a Chinese grafting tool. That's not 5 minutes. And I was learning. My friend was with me, another 5 minutes, and they don't even know how to do bees, and they learned how to do it right. And the main thing is when you get home, understanding how to find the right age larvae in a donor hive. But what I was getting at is when you learn how to make your own queens and grow them and get them mated and all that, that is the key of becoming completely self-sustainable. Well, you can make everybody can make bees and you all can make splits, but they don't work without a queen.
Well, if I was making my own queens, I could have made more than I could have purchased to resell. I could have sold more queens. I could have sold more nukes, right? So as compared to making $12 a queen, I'd have been making $40 a queen, minus the JZBZ and, that type of stuff.
You can buy them by the hundreds.
Yeah. So you're looking at, let's say I made, I don't know, let's say it cost me $2 for the stuff a piece when you're buying them in bulk, then I'm making $38 a queen. So I would have made $3,800 as compared to $1,200. So that's a big difference, right? That's a big difference. And
Well,
then,
with the queens, it's like I was watching Tom Hall, is it, that comes on here? He's in Florida.
he comes on my stream.
It comes on our chat. He's on maybe the other thing on Thursday or last night. What's it called? Stream team. Tim Hall, I think it is. You'll see his icon. It looks like a beard. The guy.
Oh, yeah. Bearded bee works or beard. I know who you're talking about.
He's now he comes out his name on it. But anyway, he was talking about doing Queen's Day, and he's like me. He's about my size as far as number of hives and stuff, and he has out yards, and he's grafting. He's put them in an incubator after they cap after 6 days, and I'm talking to a friend of mine up in Pennsylvania. He was getting like 900% graft success. I mean, 30 cells a clip. I mean, and I'm like, man, Ed, you're doing exceptional, you know. And but now some of the things that he was doing differently was he was letting those cells hatch in the incubator. And then
that's what my
that's what this Tim Hall, I think is his last name.
Let them hatch right into a roller cage.
And then Tim found it was a higher success rate. And also the guy, I watched these videos. He's up there next to Ian in Canada called something Swift Apiaries or something like that. Sweet Apiaries. He commented on the same thing, that they all go through their mating boxes and they let that virgin queen walk into that hive
right through the front door. That's what Gus was saying.
Yeah. Do it right through the front door, or I did it. I got a video on it this year. I had one. I thought she was a dud. She hatched in the incubator. I took her out there and made a quick video. Hey, Mark.
How are y'all?
Good.
Brother.
And I let that virgin walk into that 2-frame mating box. Several things that comes out of that. Number one, you put a queen cell in there. You're itching to see whether that thing is hatched.
Right.
And then you go out there within 3 or 4 days. Well, with a virgin, you know you have a queen in there. All you have to do is come back in a week or two, and she's laying eggs. And another problem I had when I sell queen cells out of the incubator where they're going to hatch within a day and a half, they'll go and take them. And I'm one that, hey, you know, if it ain't right, I'm going to back it up. And I had one guy, had 2 or 3 of them that didn't hatch, didn't do this, didn't do that. Fine. Here's 4 of them. No problem. I'll back them up. So when you do next year, no more queen cells. It's going to be virgin queens in a cage. Here's your virgin queen, $20.
Really, there's no difference, right? You know that cell is hatched.
Well, what I'm getting at is when that beekeeper buys that virgin queen from you for, let's say, instead of $10 for a cell, $20 for a virgin, he has the queen in hand. And that queen is most likely not going to get hurt by the other bees because she doesn't smell yet.
Right.
When she goes into the 2-frame mating box.
You don't have to worry about the other bees tearing down the cells.
All right.
Well, first of all, Mark, welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome, Mark.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Charlie.
I don't think we've met. I think this is your first time, isn't it?
Yeah, y'all got on some interest and stuff. I figured I'd get on here. Why not?
Yeah, well, always welcome new faces and opinions and new experiences. If you got something that you experienced, we have it.
You over there.
What's that, Bob?
See all that woodenware you got behind you over there?
That's just some of it.
Well,
it's piled up everywhere out here.
Mine looks like the Great Wall of South Carolina outside because it's on like 3 stands stacked up high. And
yeah.
There. But
Yeah, I've got honey super stacked everywhere. I don't know. You can't see everything
Yeah, I
in
see
here.
'em. Yeah.
wow.
I got,
Nice looking colors too.
oh, there's frames there.
Where are you located at?
I'm in Union City, Tennessee. I'm on the northwest corner of Tennessee.
The
I'm not
Northwest.
far from Reelfoot Lake, if you ever heard of that.
No,
North.
you're on the west end of Tennessee then.
Northwest.
So you're
Northwest.
I'm
So
a,
you're
Ohio.
close to what state? Other state?
I'm up
Kentucky?
here by Kent Williams. Kent's about 25 miles from me.
Okay.
So
You know,
You're
we're
over
just,
there. And Clint talked about someplace over there on the end of Kentucky. You didn't want to go there. Hey, you said they were Wild West out that way.
that's probably the very tip end by the river.
Yeah, something about a river out there. They say it's like the Wild West.
Yeah, that's a bunch of river rats. Yeah.
well,
That's
we've
what I
kind of
heard.
just been going over, it's the end of the year. So kind of, I don't know if it's a state of the union, but, how we profited this year on bees, more the business end of it.
Right.
Have I paid off my equipment? Well, I paid it off when I bought it. So technically it's paid for, but have I recouped that money? No, I haven't. But I'm working towards that. And this year was kind of crazy. I started wholesaling queens, like reselling queens. I sold some nukes and, so definitely got into some new stuff this year that made some money. So I made I sold 10 nukes. So that was like $2,000. Sold 100 queens. That's another $1,200. And then the honey. So, I'm getting close to paying back what I actually spent this year. But, if next year goes like this year or better, should be in the green for sure with my beekeeping. Of course, then I'll probably have to run out more supers and.
Yeah, and when it comes to the business, I run a spreadsheet. When it comes to expenses, every expense goes into my spreadsheet, and then I have the other sheet is all my income. And I can tell you, I average over the last 10 years or more. I average expenditures of at least $5,000 a year.
Yeah.
In what I buy. There's been a lot of equipment, but there's also like sugar. All right. This year, I think I spent just under $1,000 in sugar.
I was able to cut my expense this year by buying the syrup.
I didn't buy as much as I normally because we get that spotted lanternfly that come in and that excretes the sap out of the bark, and the bees got a hold of that, and they were packing honey away in August, which we never have. So I didn't have to feed anything in July or August. So how big are you, Mark? As far as hives and
judging by all that equipment, he's got a pretty big operation.
Yeah, he's got a pretty darn big operation. How many 100 hives you got?
Well, I ain't got but 50 double deeps, and I've probably got 20, 25 nukes out there right now to overwinter.
So you about 75 pieces.
Yeah, but I've got too many, really, but I'm trying to do it all, and that's the problem. Like you said, you get more irons in the fire than you can handle, and you got time for.
Yeah.
Like my honey. I did right at 150 gallons. That's all I'm allowed is 150 gallons legally. But most of that's by accident. I try to keep them split and make nukes and queens and split and split and split. But still, you get behind, you have to throw honey supers on. You're going to make honey whether you like it or you don't.
Right. That's what
I don't have. I've got accounts out there that buys honey, but I don't have time to run them accounts and build bigger like I need to. I'd rather spend my time raising queens and selling nukes than I had fooling with the honey, simply because I don't like sitting there bottling honey and having to run a case of honey over here 30 miles to sell. And it just takes up so much time for me. I'd rather be into the bees, raising queens and nukes than I had fooling with that.
So now you got 150 pounds or 150 gallons of honey. That's 1,800 pounds of honey.
Right. And then I left the top deeps full of honey on 50 hives. On top of that.
You must be in a really good nectar source area.
It's really good.
You must be averaging at least 100 and some pounds per hive.
If I wanted it, but I don't want it, I'd try not to even feed. Just leave the honey on them.
Yeah.
You know, it's cheaper for me, and it's a lot less time involved.
But now with where you live, let's see. Now you're in Tennessee, so your weather is about 6 to 8 weeks longer than mine. I'm up here in Baltimore, Maryland area.
Ooh, you way up north.
Well, ain't that far, but
it is for me.
yeah. I'm talking about the longitude or whatever you call it. So you've got a couple more months. You're going to start a month or two earlier than me and probably finish up a month or two later than me. So you have a longer queen ring.
Well, I'll start raising queens when they start, when they get started, I'll start. But usually it's about
April,
either the third week of March or the first or second week of April. It can fluctuate 3 weeks either way.
Right.
So
and
I'd rather wait till about the mid-April myself. And I do better,
Well, with raising queens, it's all about the drones. If you don't have the drones,
it's all about the drones. I don't start till I actually see drones flying out of the hive.
Right.
I don't care if they're still in the cell or not. They still got a week or two before they're big enough to even mate.
Yeah, because they have to, a week or so before they're
right.
Mature.
Their semen is mature enough instead of squirting water.
I try to keep enough overwinter nukes to sell them because everybody wants them early. And if I can sell them I'd rather sell the overwinter nukes early. And then what I raise from there on, they'll trickle down. It's slower. It slows down like everything else. But
all right, here's a question. If you're going to sell your over nukes early with a queen, but you're not able to raise queens at that point in time, so do you let them raise their own queens at that time?
No, I'll raise about 200 queens a year. And I'll requeen them 50 hives out there. I'll let them go about 2 years. That second year, they're going to get requeened. Now, I've got 3 yards.
No, I'm talking about when you sell an early nuke. Are you just raising a 5-frame nuke, or do you, like me, I got to have 5 over 5
in
order to get it through the wintertime?
No, I'll put them in a queen castle, and I'll set them on top of a double deep hive. 5-frame.
And then you'll overwinter your queens that way over a queen castle?
The nukes. The nukes. Yeah. It'll be a 10-frame box with a nuke on each side.
Yeah.
With queen up on top. Well, the queen castles are made like a double screen.
Right.
Set them on top of a double deep hive, and I put sugar on top of them, and they'll make it fine.
Okay, so you're getting through just a true 5-frame nuke.
Yeah,
right.
I do. I mean, I can just here in South Carolina, like I said, I only got basically 2 real cold months, right? January, maybe February, but by the end of February, it's already starting to warm up. So I'll just use a regular 5-frame nuke and put a feeder shim on it and drop them. If I need to drop a sugar brick in there as insurance to make sure they make it to spring. I mean, all my nukes that I tried to overwinter last year all made it through. And then I just moved them into a 10-frame, once they started packing that box out.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll use a 8-frame box with a 2-frame internal feeder or frame feeder, and you actually got 6 frames in there, and that works great too.
Let me see. Just watching some of the comments over here, but yeah. So, are you grafting your queens? Or are you doing walkaways, or how you doing them?
No, I graft.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bob, you got to do that. I mean, it is not that hard. It's
Bob, honestly, you really don't learn beekeeping till you learn how to graft and raise your own bees that way. And you learn so much so quick, it's unreal.
Well,
Because you've got to keep up with all them dates. You've got to time everything out. And you really, really learn how to keep bees then.
well, I've got a bunch of 2-frame mating nukes. I've got a bunch of 5-frame nukes. I've got a whole pallet of 5-frame nukes out there that aren't in use at this moment, so
Right.
the first couple years I would basically just do walk away splits, right? Make a nuke, put a frame with eggs in there, boom, let them make queen cells, and then I would cage all of them but about 2 queen cells that would appear, right? Then one would hatch out, and I would take that whole frame and make another nuke and move that whole frame and take off a couple of the cages to let them hatch out. And just keep doing that. If they hatched in there, then I would just catch her, put her in another box and split. And that worked really well the first year.
I've done that for a long time.
But I really want to start doing that because locally there are no queen providers. I was buying them in bulk. I was buying 25 queens at a time, and people were buying them. And, when you buy 25 from a breeder, they're going to give you a 26th insurance queen. And I would put that queen in one of mine and make a nuke, and expand that way. But yeah, I mean, this year I wasn't the most profitable. I know. And even if it's not about profit, like I saw DC said he's not really in it to profit from the bees. No,
but you want to be sustainable, though,
You don't want to constantly have to go into whatever check you get every month to buy more.
If you got 50 hives, it may cost you $450 just to treat your bees, and you want to be able to make enough money to take care of them, Well,
I see Brian on here, but I don't see a video. Hey, Brian. There he is. Hey, Brian. Maybe you don't. Maybe he's having a bad connection.
He may have us muted.
Hello.
Hey, there's a little bit of a lag there. Are you watching us on StreamYard and not on YouTube?
Having bad reception.
Because we can see and hear you, but the video's frozen.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. And if you're watching us on YouTube, if you still have that up, that'll lag you too. There you go.
And turn off the microphone on the YouTube part.
Yeah. Yeah, DC. Yeah, I understand. I was the same way, buddy. I was like, hey, I just want to keep some bees. And I started, and then all of a sudden that addiction pops in, right? And you're like, well, I've got to do something. My thing was, it was crisis management. It's like, well, I've got this many colonies now. They're going to expand. I'm going to have to do something or they're going to swarm, right? So then it's like, well, buy more equipment. And then you get X number. And well, they're going to do it again. So you just continuously are in this cycle. So this year for me, I had the equipment. I expanded to the amount of equipment that I had. I sold off what I could. And then I started at the end of the year merging them back down to free my extra equipment back up. So I can just continuously kind of fill up and then downsize, fill up and downsize. So that was kind of the goal that I was going for this year. But yeah.
Well, you did real good. Sell 100 queens. That's great.
Yeah, nobody. Well, I did have so the local beekeeping supply company here, they don't sell their own queens, right? They don't sell their own bees. So if they're selling nukes and selling packages, they just sell nukes. But if they're selling that, somebody else is actually providing that. And once they're done with that, then if someone calls them for a queen, what they were doing is giving them my number. Hey, I just called them. Hey, I've got queens. If anybody calls you for queens, just give them my number and we'll set up a time for them to come. And and I had people drive an hour, 2 hours to come get queens. Because, let's say they don't have off till Saturday, but they need a queen for a colony, and they would just drive up, get it, and drive home, pick up 5 queens, whatever, and just selling them. And
that's great.
When I had those 2 framers. So at first I was banking them, and then when I got the 2 framers, what I was doing is I would set up a 2 framer and put a mated queen in there, let her start laying. If somebody wanted a queen, I'd go catch her out of the 2 framer, sell the queen, and let the colony try to make a daughter, right? So that was kind of the thing where I could just, like, if it didn't have a queen, they were making a queen. I always had queens being made, but I wasn't grafted. So maybe that is the next thing. It's just if I can, like you said, it's all about the timing. And
it took me about 3 years to really get it down pat.
And
about 3 years.
And you got it to where it's just routine where you put queens in there, they were hatching. And now, do you hatch them in an incubator? Or?
I hatch them in an incubator now.
So that's what I'm going to start doing this year.
So
yeah, I'd rather sell a virgin. Actually, I'm like Charlie. But the problem is a lot of people don't know how to introduce a virgin. That becomes a problem.
Don't you just?
But
I just let them walk in.
Yeah. See, I've got like 30 queen castles, you might say, 3 ways.
Mm-hmm.
That's 90 queens right there that's possible, plus all my nukes. But when you work a job, after about 2 rounds, you start getting tired of it. It starts getting hot, and you've requeened everything, and people still want mated queens. Well, it's a lot easier just to graft and hatch them out and sell virgins if they would just learn how to get them mated themselves. Of course, now I'm into the VSH. I bought one of Corey's breeder queens, and
you're a real pro now.
Well, we're trying it. I got a couple of grafts out of her last year, so if she makes it through the winter, we'll see how it goes.
That's an expensive bee.
It's a high risk game, I'll just tell you.
Oh yeah.
But it's gonna pay off, I think.
Those queens are what, $1,000 a piece or more?
No, if you get one like I got, it wasn't that high. I got one that wasn't laying. He just artificially inseminated her and sent her to me. She was untested, basically. We didn't know whether she's going to lay or not. So I had to put her in a push-in cage with a small amount of bees and get her to land and work with her and get her nest built before I could ever really get in there and do some grafting. So that whole process took a while, and you got to check on her.
You got a question here. It says, question from Mark. How do you set up the incubator? Put water, honey, and nurse bees in it so they feed the queens, or how are you doing?
What
he's getting that confused.
What? Yeah, when the virgin hatches, you make sure you got feed in her right then, in there for her right then. She when she comes out of that cell, she's ready to eat. She's got to have food right then. And as soon as you can get out there, put some attendants with her, at least 4 or 5 attendants with her. She'll live longer. If you don't put attendants with her in a couple of days, she'll die. She'll just die.
Do you try to have a box for her all ready to go in as soon as she's hatched? Like ready to go. As soon as she's hatched, you're ready to put her in. No?
All right, now.
No, I will at first part of the year, but as it goes on, you don't have all the boxes. I got to go out there and catch queens first and get them and, do what I'm going to do with the mated queens Okay.
All right.
Then she's laid eggs. So I got to wait another week for them eggs and then destroy them cells. Okay. That they've made, the queen cells that they made, before I can introduce that virgin into them. You see what I mean?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, you graft, you got a queenless cell builder, I presume, unless you're doing a cloak board method of some sort.
Charlie, I like to wait. Well, the first one I'll make up, but the best cell builder is a hive that's about ready to swarm, that already has swarm cells in it. Go in there and destroy them swarm cells and put your grafts in. Get rid of the queen, of course.
Yeah.
They make your best cells.
But all right, you go in there and they're capped off in 6 days. So then you pull that graft out and you put it in your incubator, and that'll still hatch in
10 days, right? If it's
7 days.
Yeah.
Well, it's 16 days from eggs, so.
Yeah, but they what I'm getting at is that those numbers are always confusing to me. So the first, it'll say, well, it's 6, 7. It'll say 9 days. Well, wait a minute. I don't count the first 3 days where it went from egg to a larvae. I go in there and I find a frame. If you see jelly and I can't see any larvae floating in that jelly, I know it's there because they won't put it in themselves if there's not a larvae in there.
It's 4 days old.
Yeah, I pull that. I don't have. You probably have a timing box.
No, I got it all in my head.
Okay. I mean, I didn't know whether you went out there and seen, where you put a queen in and then you time the eggs out and that you
Actually, that takes longer. I mean, it's okay if you're going to do 5 or 6 builders at a time. I may get 3 or 4 builders going, but that's it. It adds a step to you. If you try to time them eggs out, you've got to go out there. You've got to find the queen. You've got to put the empty frame in. You got to put her in with that. Then you got to go back out there at the 4th day and get it.
Yep.
Why not just go out there and find a frame that's got eggs the right age?
Well, that's what I do,
Simple.
So anyway, I graft. That's when I graft, and I put that day, once I get done grafting, I put that in a cell builder. All right. That's day 1, as far as I'm concerned. 6 days later, those cells are capped that are accepted. And then I pull that frame out. Now, what I've been doing is take it to my homemade incubator. They stay in. It's a refrigerator, which has got a heat lamp, keeps it at 93 degrees. I got a little fan in there running the air around. And I have a tray with water in there, keeps it high humidity. And they stay in there for usually 5 days. And then that gives me a day and a half to get them in a mating box before they hatch. Well, now what I'm going to do is wait. It'll take 5, 6, I'll say 7 days. They're going to be hatched. 5.5 to 7 days. They're going to be hatched inside the incubator. I'm going to have to cage them in a hair roller cage, so they don't attack each other. And then I had a friend of mine in Pennsylvania. He said of course, you're going to tear off the cell because she'll get stuck in there and die. And then he said to lay those cages horizontally on their edge. And then, of course, give them a little bit of, I always have a little bit of honey here that's crystallized. And I take a dab of that and put it on the end of that hair roller cage. And that way she can eat. And
just make sure if you're going to keep her as a virgin that you put attendants in there with her. I don't know why it is, but they'll die after about a couple of days.
What I'm planning on doing is I'll have them as soon as they hatch, I always try to have at least 20 boxes of two framers out there that I can just let her walk on in and they're queenless. And of course, check them for cells and all that stuff because they might make cells on you. And walk that virgin right into the top of the box, and a couple weeks later, she should be laying, and that kind of thing. But then I'm thinking about selling virgins instead of a cell. And
just feed them.
Now, how much you selling virgins for compared to like a mated queen? Mated queens go for like $40. What would you sell a virgin for?
$20 if you buy 10 or more. 25 if you just buy one. That's been the going rate. Now you know how things have changed. So
yeah.
So it's 25. I've been selling cells for 10. So you're
10.
saying 20. If it's like one queen, it's 25 for a virgin.
Right. Yep.
All right. I was thinking 20 for virgins.
20 if you buy 10 or more.
Well, the benefit of that is you don't have to worry about a dud queen cell. Right.
That's right.
That's right.
And that's what I've come up with here by myself is like, I had a couple guys this past year. Oh, I had 2 or 3 duds. Well, I backed stuff up. I said, here's some more cells.
Right.
It really didn't cost me except for a JZBZ cup. So I'm thinking to myself, hey, I'll sell virgins. There is no coming back. It's like you had the queen. Whatever happened after that, it's your baby.
Right.
So.
Well, if a virgin, I'm selling the genetics, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
So that genetics is going to breed with your bees. If I sold you a mated queen, I'm selling you my bees. If I sell you the genetics in that virgin, she's going to mate with the drones in your area and hopefully pass that genetics on down the line. See, that's how I'm looking at it.
Well,
yeah, because I told Bob where to get some queens because I knew the guy that was close to his house, and I bought queens from him, and then I've grafted off of those queens, and my daughters look just like those other queens.
Right. Yeah, they're identical almost. They sure are. Yeah.
The thing is with that specific company, I really wasn't too pleased with their queens this year. And we've talked about that before, Charlie, that they
I have to say that
slow laying.
I bought queen from the company I told you about, which is close to your house, and then the other company down in Georgia. And I don't know. I guess it's bees or bees. You can get a bunch of queens and you expect them to function right away.
Right.
And a lot of times you can get a queen and she just ain't much. Doesn't matter how well she's bred or whether she's AI or
you can raise better queens than you can buy.
Yeah.
Right.
That's bottom line.
And it don't cost you anything.
That's just time. Just time.
Well,
the thing is, you've got to have enough resources to be able to do it, Well, as long as you got the resources.
Well, that's why I got those loot boxes out there.
Of just going through and finding a brood frame that's got the right size, the right age eggs on it, and just grafting those over and sticking them in a queenless box that's full of bees and let them do their work,
Yeah, the more bees you got, the better queen cells you're going to have. The better they feed that queen, the better the queen's going to be.
Well, you could also, I don't have it in here, but the setup that I was showing with the Ceracell with the twist cages that the rollers go right on. If you're using that thing, once they've got the cells, you can just put the roller cages over the cells and leave it in there and let them go ahead and hatch out right in the hive.
Yep. Yeah, just if you're going to leave them in there long, make sure you put larvae up next to them. That way they get fed. If you put them over here by themselves, they won't get fed. Put that larvae on another frame up here close to them, and then take some pollen over here on the other side of them. That way they get fed. They get taken care of. I do that sometimes if I don't want to fool with the incubator. I'll just leave them out there in the yard and let them take care of it.
Well,
same difference.
Y'all talk. I'm gonna go grab that thing and show you what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I like when I set up my cell builder, I set up a queenless cell builder And what I normally do, like this past year, I had a 10 frame 5/5 nuke box. It was queenless, and there was,
Right.
there was 10 frames of bees in there. Well, I took the top box off and I shook all those other box bees into that one nuke. It's like overflowing, and that's what you want. That's what you need.
Yeah. They got to be prone to making sales. That's the key. You can shake bees in all you want to, but if they ain't prone to making them, they'll still make it. They'll still make that queen cell, but they ain't as good. What I was trying to say is, if the hive's already ready to swarm in that mode, they're already in the mode of doing it.
Well, check this thing out.
For me, trying to find that hive that's going to do that.
Yeah.
So Mark,
Trying to find what he's looking for right here. Is this what you're talking about right here?
oh, those are roller, right?
Yeah,
Roller cage.
Put it in front of
thing
your
is
face.
a Saracel queen rearing frame.
That's pretty neat.
So it comes with, when you buy the setup, it comes with these that are your little grafting cup, right?
Right. Yeah.
They spin right in and lock in.
Yeah. Yeah, they lock.
And
I find better if you don't have any shoulders on there and you narrow it down and then bring your top rail down toward the bottom. The lower it is, the better they do. The higher it is up on the frame, they don't do as good. Why? I don't know.
What about building cells? Is that also true? If you graft, let's say
that's what I'm talking about, building cells.
if you put JZBZ cups on there and you put them, instead of putting them up where those two steel bars are, put them in the lower part of the frame.
Put them in the lower part of the frame, and also cut them shoulders off.
Yes, I did that. I ground them things off with a sander, and that reduced the burr comb tremendously.
Yeah, it narrows it down a little bit.
It narrows it down, and that way, when you put the food frame and the
oh, you're talking about the little dog ears, grind them off?
No, the ears there, the
shoulders
right here.
Yeah, these shoulders. Yeah, cut them down to the same width as that top bar.
I gotcha.
And then the pollen frame and the nectar frame fit up tight to that. And they don't have the webbing in between.
They don't have the webbing. That's right. And also put you a blank frame in there. Give them something to do.
Something to do because you're feeding them.
Especially if you're in a honey flow.
Well, the thing I liked about this setup was the fact that you only have to have the one cup. You don't have to have multiple things, and it fits right into the bottom of the roller.
Right. You're talking about them right there.
Yeah.
Yep. These roller.
Same thing.
Cages.
Yeah.
But the thing with the Saracel was it's a one-piece cup that fits in there. You don't have to have multiple pieces. You just load it in there, load your cell, your larva in there.
That'd be like, what's the other one? What's that other same setup? It's got the square box.
I do it multiple ways. I'll do the Nicot, not where you put the queen in there, but I'll graft into the Nicot, especially if I know that I'm not going to be around that next week, where I can just take and leave them into a hive. If I know I'm not going to have time to go out there and get them and put them in the incubator, that way I can just put them hair rollers on there and let them roll.
Now as
long as you put that larva up there close to them, they'll feed them.
Okay.
What about the webbing? If you leave them in there that long time, do they web them up any?
If I'm gonna leave them in there, I make sure I'll put a frame or two of foundation for them to pull.
Okay.
Yes, and that makes a big difference. If it's a strong honey flow, you can't help it. But as long as they got something to pull, they're all right.
Well, that's why I started incubating, because they started doing so much webbing after the 6 days. And I'm like, this is a pain.
Put you some blanks in there, some foundation.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing was, like I said, this year I heard a lot of guys talk about cutting them shoulders down. And
Yeah.
I took that frame down here to my belt sander and I sanded that thing down to where it's flush. And
Made a
that
difference, didn't it?
oh my gosh, it just
Yeah.
completely got rid of that problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a pain, you got a nice cell, and then you're trying to take a razor blade to cut that darn wax off, and you'll tear the cell down, and you just lost $40.
Well, what are
Right.
you like in the incubator? So you're saying you set the incubator at how many degrees?
93.
93
Nice.
degrees.
Yeah.
Some people
Yeah, and
say
I like to
92,
run about
93.
60% humidity, 70 if I can get it.
60 to 70%. I'm typing it in the chat for everybody.
humidity.
But
I don't measure the humidity. I just take a little tray like lunch meat comes in, and I'll put a Coke bottle's worth 16 ounces of water in there, and then I got a little fan in there. It's about 4 inches in diameter. It happened to be a fan that some lady had that it looks like a miniature desk fan that you would kind of blow on your face, I guess, what it was for. Anyway, I stuck it in there and it blows around the clock, and it seems to take care of the bees.
Oh, Ian. Hey, Ian. Ian Stepler's in here. Yes, keep them tight, he says.
Yeah. Hi, Ian. How are you?
Happy Thanksgiving Day, even though y'all celebrate it on the same day we do in Canada. But we appreciate it. Glad you stopped in. And there's Mr. Larry. He's there. But yeah, so I mean that's the thing that I'm trying to improve next year is definitely with queens. Because again, if you're trying to make any kind of money, the faster money is going to come off of queens and nukes, right? The honey is the more the
because you can produce queens pretty much on a weekly basis.
My problem is I'm like in the center of the United States, right? So I don't have time to turn as many queens like they do down south. Okay. If I had that much time, yeah, it would work, but you only get so many turnovers.
But see, then we get the dearth right in the middle. Look at Ian. He says, I celebrate Thanksgiving Canadian style, and then we follow it up American style. So what's that? You drink a Labatt's first, and then you follow it up with a Budweiser?
We drink moonshine down here.
And
but you could, if you're doing, well, I like to say you have to time it out. And I got this. It is a club in Pennsylvania. They've come up with you put in the date that you graft, and it'll print out a sheet on this date is when you should be doing this. It's usually sometimes it's the way I do it. It might be a day off. When you move them, when you do this, when you do that, when they're going to hatch, there's a pretty good way of,
the hotter it is, the quicker they'll hatch.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind.
So I can probably use my chicken incubator for my.
Oh yeah.
That's all I use. And I've got a couple of them, but I can put a lot of cells in there.
I got one of those styrofoam.
That's what JCB uses and all those. I use a top end of I got a regular refrigerator. The bottom end, I turned it into a hot box for my honey. It'll hold 3 5-gallon buckets. And then the top, I said, well, I can put a bucket in there. And I said, well, wait a minute. I got so darn mad at, them webbing and all. So I put a heat lamp up there with a Inkbird temperature gauge and a fan and a little bit of water. And I can put a whole frame of 30 in there. And I actually put like a little nuke box up there is what I do.
You just lay your frame.
I take a nuke box
in there right in the.
No, I don't do it that way. I put if it's a deep frame or a medium, I have some medium frame cell builder frames, but I take and put, let's say a deep. I put a deep nuke box up in that freezer, and then I hang that frame inside that box. Now I do put some wood underneath of it so the air flows around it. There's even air and heat and everything, and it works. And
See, I need to get this skill down because I know Ian's going to buy like 1,000 queens off me next year.
well, he does it all. Carrie does all his.
I'm just
Yeah, he's got hired help.
Let me see. If you're keep cell oriented.
No, I don't prime my cups. When I started out, I started doing that, but as time progressed, I don't prime my cups no more.
You
The
use a Chinese grafting tool.
Yeah, the cheapest one. I like the one that's got the bamboo, not the plastic.
Oh, I like the plastic over the bamboo.
Yeah, and I tune every one of them.
Yeah, you gotta make sure that tip is nice and flexible.
look at that.
Yeah, just get you some sandpaper.
There's knowledge right there. Best way to make queens is to get someone else to do it.
Hey, you got that right.
Hey, at least then you have someone to blame if the yield is low, right? Like, Gary, what's going on? We only got 950 queens instead of 1,000 this week. What's going on? Yeah, that's true. That's true. If I can master it, we have such a weird season. So like our spring comes early, right? Our bees brood up early. We get pollen and everything early, but as compared to like up north, we get this big dearth right in the middle of our seasons, right? Where there's nothing. And so that's when we have to supplement and feed and everything, as compared to like up north. As soon as they start their spring and their flow starts, well, it pretty much stays going all the way until it starts to decline at the end of the year, right? And then you're done. But then as the temperature starts to drop and it comes back down to where we are down here, it starts lowering, then we start picking up a little bit of a fall flow, and then we're done. So we've got this gap in between where it seems like Charlie, where you're at, that it starts later, but then it's constant until it's not there anymore, right?
Well, our dearth is July and August. We seem to have a lot of pollen here, so our pollen flow starts, I'm going to say, mid-March, and it pretty much goes through the summertime all the way into the fall. It might have where the dearth is. It maybe July and August, the pollen is kind of backed off. Queen ring it's all about setting up the system.
Look, y'all write it down. Someone agreed with something I said on this stream on Thanksgiving Day 2022. May never happen again in the history of my channel. So there you go.
But it's a lot of fun. I have to say that. I mean,
It's an art to it. It's like
it's an art. Beekeeping in general is an art. I mean, I got young people in my club that I'm the president of, and they're the ones put bees in a box and walk away, and then they complain because they die, and I'm like, it doesn't work that way. You've got to be attentive. And then you have to have that 5 years experience of looking at the hive and understanding what you're seeing and what you're hearing, because, if it's a queenless hive, they're going to have a roar to them. And by the sound, that there's a queen problem, or they fly up in your face and stuff like that. And,
my goal next year is to get like Ian Stepler bees in a box, because his bees in the box always seem like much more bees in the box than I have in my box. So I think, and that's a me issue. That's not a bee issue, right? It's me like making splits before they're like just jam packed out or something. I think that's where my stuff is going, kind of sideways.
Well, you got Happy's formula there, since you're the East Coast Ape of Biologic rocket fuel
distributor.
distributor for the U.S. So,
yep. And now I've started using the rocket fuel. So, you know, I am definitely trying to follow his lead on that.
oh, I was in. Oh, I was in a few of my nukes there today, checking, the mite drops, but also I was pulling inner covers off, and I'd pull a frame up here and there on a couple of them. Fresh eggs.
Fresh eggs on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, fresh eggs.
Now,
and I'm, now it's a pretty good spot full. I mean,
is that unusual?
I didn't dig into the hive. I knew some hives that was laying in that top box, a month or more ago, and I'd pull that one frame up, and and I actually saw one of my queens, young girl, and she had laid up, a spot that big.
Now, for you in your region, is that unusual?
I would think it's sort of unusual because, like I said about my friend, I talked to him 2 days ago, and I requested him about when he was in his hive a month ago, the 15th of October, when I had all kinds of frames of cat brood and eggs and all this kind of stuff. And he said, "Oh, if I can find one frame of eggs or maybe 2 frames of eggs and brood, I was doing well." And I'm like, and he lives next to a big river, and he has BB trees, which are a tree that really puts out a lot of fall nectar. He can actually get a 500-pound, crop in the fall, which is for me is unheard of. I don't have fall flow. And
I tend to let mine stay on even in the fall. I just let it stay
oh yeah,
on.
I do. If they have anything in the fall, I don't harvest it.
I don't pull it out till the spring, right? When they need more room.
No, but seemed like I said, I put 80 gallons of apibiologic on my hives with sugar water, and it seems like they really are pumping out the brood.
Well, I'm trying something different this year, guys. It could end in epic fail. But I'm willing to take the gamble because of our short season down here, short winter, a couple months. And when I say a couple months, really it's January that's cold here. It was New Year's Day. We had 78 degrees last year. So, I mean, I guess this year. So I don't get that. I get like hours of cold where they're clustered, and then they come back out during the day. So I'm basically going to treat it like it's not winter. It is winter. They are slowing down. I understand that, but I'm going to keep open feed out for them. I'm going to keep stuff just to see, how it goes.
The only problem with open feeding when it's cold is late in the evening, they get their belly full of that cold feed. They don't make it back to the hive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing you have to keep in, about the art form is that, it's all about daylight hours.
Yep.
Right. The longer the daylight, the more the bees will make brood.
Right.
And that's where what is called the winter solstice, which is December 21st. And then 21st. It starts getting lighter longer. Mm-hmm. And I'll say, like for you, Bob, I would say where you're living at, I'd start pumping on them mid to late January, maybe especially early February. I would think that
50 or 60 gallons of 2 to 1 out in the truck and buckets.
Yeah, but if you took Apis biologic and you started feeding them with, let's say, quart jars or a frame feeder in the hive in February with the kind of temperatures that you have, I think that you're going to have some super hives come March.
Well, they're going to swarm before you're going to have a chance to get queens.
Yeah.
That's going to be the problem.
Don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby. I ain't trying to get no swarms. I hope
you'll have to get queens down south.
Well, he's down. He's got queen producer about an hour from his house. I'm not sure whether he would have him that early or not.
Right. Because they're going to bust loose quick.
Well, this year, that was my worry. That's why I made early splits, and then it ended up costing me.
Well, the thing of it is, I'm thinking if you can get them boosted like that, and you're saying you want to get more highs as far as production highs,
Mhm.
I'd be in there splitting early splits.
Early.
Well, they've been typically Valentine's Day is when people start to make splits around here.
Well,
Now it was warmer.
Valentine's Day is when they start grafting down in Georgia.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm right in the center of South Carolina. So
I can send you some coins, Bob.
I'm gonna need some because I'm trying to load up everything I got.
They're going to be F1 VSH. Every one of my raised right at first going to be F1 VSH out of Corey's.
I think we need to have a like one of them BBQs down here in the spring, like a spring break meetup down here in South Carolina.
I'd come.
And so I've definitely been doing some stuff. I didn't bring it up this show. I'm gonna just put that out there. I didn't bring up the Apis. I know some people get upset when we talk about products, and sell stuff. So I didn't bring that up. That was Charlie today.
Well, I talk about like some folks were looking at Hive Alive product and all, and
I'll tell you what.
I'm not sure about that. I don't have any experience with that product.
Me neither. The biggest thing for me with the Hive Alive, and it could work great, it's just the cost of how much you get.
It's expensive.
Very expensive. I mean, 10.5 gallons is $35.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
I mean, it makes 10.5 gallons. It's not.
It makes 10 gallons.
Yeah.
I've been using the Pro
Whereas
Health
I
myself.
bought the one packet. It'll make 200 and
This packet, 265 gallons.
That's the one I bought.
Yeah, and it's 59, but the one that does 52 gallons is $24.99. So for me, money to what you can do with it, this is it. Plus, Ian uses it, so there you go.
I wonder if that would help putting it on a cell builder as far as the royal jelly goes.
I'm sure it would. That's Ian feeds it.
Because I put feed on them anyway, right? And I'll put Pro Health or something like that in the sugar water. I don't see why it wouldn't help.
I've tried that Pro Health, and them bees did not like that stuff at all.
Usually, most time I use it is like if I'm gonna put sugar on top of the hive, I'll mix it in with the sugar just so they'll come up and eat it.
Something that I do in my cell builder. Now I put, like you say, a pollen frame. I try to find, this last year, I found myself a beautiful pollen frame that the bees it was pretty fresh. And, I did Ultra Bee pollen powder, mixed it with sugar water, or actually some Pro Sweet, and made a paste out of that. And then I drizzled that on top of the hive frames, right above the cell builder, frame and all that stuff. And they'll come up and eat that stuff to make more jelly and whatever. But I don't know. Just now, I did find it seemed like when I put that fresh pollen frame in there, they didn't eat that pollen slurry that I call it as much as in the past and stuff.
Have you ever not had the pollen and just throw the Ultra Bee in the frame and put it next to them? Have you ever tried that?
No, I've never tried that. Did it?
A tube feeder with the pollen sub.
Did you do that? Did it have any success with that?
Seemed like they just mixed honey with it. I don't think they really fed with it. You know what I mean?
I was going through my nukes, looking at resources, and I found a frame in there that was pretty much all pollen, you know, a deep frame.
Right.
And I'm like, and I made a little X on that. You know, I'll take a magic, a Sharpie and make an X and maybe put a P there or something like that. So I know where it's at. And then when I make up that hive, I went over there and grabbed it and stuck it in there and put that cell frame in there. And it worked out well.
Yeah.
I do have an update on my bullet. So, you know, I said yesterday that I had went out to a nuke that doesn't have anything in it and opened it up and left it in there. And I went out there today, and just like it was the day before, still smelled, still has fluid in the bottom, not dried out. This is the new hack, man. I think I've stumbled onto something here that will be very effective long-term lure. And I don't know how to make myself big like Lee does, but this is
turn it the other way.
Yeah.
There you go. That's how it looks better that way.
So you can see the swarm lure, the white. You see the hydro crystal right there, the polyacrylic that absorbs it, and it just wicks up. Just wicks up through the crystal. It'll be long acting. It love you long time. So
I don't fool with swarms much. I have so many in my yard that when I can't keep up, that I don't have time to run no traps.
yeah, I don't.
It's fun. I enjoy it, but I don't have time.
The swarms I typically get are ones that people call me, hey, I've got some bees in my bush. Can you come get it? Or it's one of my own, right? That swarm that I'm catching. But most of the time I don't go out and set traps all over the place. But there's some people that enjoy doing that and do it. And so I had a company ask me about these, the Man Lake ones. And these have to be refrigerated. It says on it, like, where does it say? Keeping it says, well, I'll just show you what it says. It says keep in a tightly sealed jar in the refrigerator or freezer until ready to use. So that becomes an issue if you're a big supplier and you have to refrigerate a bunch of stuff, right? So I invented this because they're going to pick up my swarm lure. I invented these bullets with this crystal. They don't have to freeze them. They don't have to refrigerate them. And it's got them packaged up, very similar. So it's nothing that's too different from what they're already doing, right? And good to go. So using my chemistry background to innovate a little bit.
Do you have a sales background, Bob?
Yes, sir, I do.
You're a pretty good salesman.
Well, my sales on my website do not show that.
You can tell that the way he talks.
You know, the funny thing is I give discounts and give discounts and give discounts, and some people will. Like, it's just one of those things. Some people will, some people won't. So what? You know, you can't make people buy stuff.
Right.
I've been talking about rocket fuel for months. Some people bought it. Some people don't buy it. Some people say they're going to buy it and then don't. You know, it's just, you know, whatever. It just is what it is. And
I can see it being real helpful at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
Ian uses it at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year, right? To put weight on his colonies. And
I don't see it so much late in the year because,
well, we don't have the snow he's got and keep our bees.
Yeah, well, that and robbing and everything else, you know. When I want them to shut down, I want them to shut down. I don't want them to keep rearing brood.
Right.
That would probably make them rear more brood, I would think.
Yeah, that's what it's for.
Yeah.
I was fooling with it, feeding in the fall, see what it would do and all. I don't really feed a lot in the spring, to be quite honest.
I try not to feed much in the fall if I can help it.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that, buddy. Steve's like the most generous guy. He comes down. He came down here. He bought me lunch, hung out with me for a little while. Then he sends me mead in the mail, honey. Now he's going to give me some nukes in the spring. So if I had a way to get him, I would reduce your colonies. He's trying to reduce his number of colonies. He's in New York. He's getting older, you know, wants to kind of downsize a little bit. And if I had a way, man, I would definitely go. And
But now you're talking about, I presume you ship out queens, Mark?
I try not to.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
I have more around here, just neighbors wanting queens than to keep me busy. Like if Bob wanted a few or something, yeah, I'd send him some, but I
Well,
don't
you have-
advertise.
No, but I mean, the problem of getting them from A to B alive.
Yeah,
is-
overnight's the only way to go, really,
see, I saw some. Was it?
and it costs. It's expensive.
Yeah, that's the shipping, right?
Yeah,
Killer. I had a.
it's going to get to where you can't afford to ship stuff.
That's the big thing, even with the website, when people look at something like, the even stuff like this, it's not big. However, the postal service has like a minimum for shipping a shipper is like $4 or $5, by the time you pay for the shipper and everything. So really, you end up, if you order more, you end up better because you can get more in the package and pay the same price. I had something that I saw on Spaces for South Carolina and even maybe North Carolina. There was maybe if I spelled it correctly, that would help. It's not honey stong, it's honey strong. So they're selling a bunch of equipment, and they're in Smyrna, South Carolina. So I'll share this real quick if anybody.
See, in Tennessee, we can't buy used equipment.
Oh,
Yeah,
It would hurt to us there.
Yeah, I mean, you guys got some kind of inspectors, like local inspectors, and
Yeah, I have to be inspected by a state inspector before I can sell any bees.
So they're selling feeder buckets. Looks like some 10 frames or 8 frames.
Them some good looking boxes.
Some nuke boxes. Looks like $15 nuke boxes. And that's going to be on Saturday, it looks like. Smyrna, South Carolina. Let me see.
You ought to go hit that, Bob.
I think that's close to where you live at. It's on the coast.
Smyrna, South Carolina.
Smyrna or Smyrna?
Smyrna. However, see, I'm from the damn state. I don't know where it's at. Let's see. It's probably in the upstate. Yeah. Actually, that's not far from where Dennis is. So that's Charlotte right here. That's where I go to get my syrup, right? Smyrna's right there. And I am literally right in here. This area.
I don't know if we run up there close to you or not, Bob.
That ain't that far from you, Bob. At least doesn't look to me.
Probably an hour and a half, maybe. Let me see directions.
Now spring that. You got Nashville right there.
It says an hour and 45 minutes to get there from here.
Put up where Mark's town is. He's out there west of Nashville.
Union City.
Union City?
Union City, yeah. Tennessee. Pretty good way.
Man, it's telling me I got to go to Kentucky and come back down to you.
Yeah, on 24. Or you can go to Nashville and take 40.
Look at that. 9 hours and 45 minutes if I take 40. There's nobody close to me. I mean, not close like that. Even like Bruce down here in Alabama, he's like down here, Dothan, right? Down this way over here somewhere.
I'm right at the edge of the Delta. Like when you come up out of the Delta, you come up on hill ground. I'm right there.
When you say Delta, what do you mean?
The Delta that runs all the way down in the Mississippi, all the way up in the Missouri, flat ground. It's all flat. The river Delta,
Now,
Mississippi.
when you guys go down to Georgia, what city is that in?
Me?
Yeah,
That's Mount Vernon.
Mount Vernon, Georgia.
Yeah.
Three and a half hours from me.
Yeah, because I mean, we came up through that. Instead of taking 95, we came up that other route. I think 301.
Yeah,
and
you look at the country.
that was I was probably an hour from your house, maybe.
Yeah, I didn't get no phone calls, nothing.
The only thing is, I can't stop. I'm coming out with bees and.
Well,
And-
heck, I might have added some on there for you guys. I might have been like, pick them up. Yeah, so they're, I mean, looks like they got some equipment for sale down there. Coming up this week. It said Saturday, but we'll see. I'm not planning to go up there, but if somebody like, you know, Dennis is up in that area. He's in right up in Fort Mill, which is around Rock Hill. So he's let me see, some items as low as $2. Wonder why they're selling so much equipment.
He's gearing down.
We are 4 high, 120 hives. Yeah, they do a bunch of stuff. So, but you know, that's what it is. When I got queens this year from Gardner Apiaries, there was a health inspection certification taped to the shipping box for the UPS to see. Where's Gardner Apiaries at?
They're about 50 miles south of where Mount Vernon is.
Oh, really?
Somewhere's in that area.
So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. And there's Lee's popping in. Lee, you home? Or, I mean, we've only been going 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But see, for me, this kind of thing is just a hangout of buddies talking about bees or whatever. You know, it's not.
I enjoyed Mark here tonight talking about queens, and it's hard for me to find somebody at my level or above to mine that good information that I'm.
Thank you.
Where I'm at, or
Yeah.
where I want to.
He's only got us scrubs to deal with. See there?
Yep.
Yeah, but Mark here, you know, he's a definite sideliner. He's got years experience in queen rearing and different techniques. Now I'm all about technique.
I'm all about saving time now. It's all about time management.
Okay, so
When it goes, it goes.
that's an interesting question. That comes full circle back to the equipment. Are you at the point now that it's just better for you to buy stuff than it is to make it?
I'm a tightwad. I'll just tell you right now, I'm tight. I'll make my frames. I ain't even started using plastic. I still use wax. But because I got to use all this wax up, I've still got a little bit left, but I'm fixing to have to swap over. I don't have time. It's all about time management. When you get so many hives, you've got to save time somewhere.
Right.
All right.
If you got as many colonies you do and you're making splits, so you got 75 and you're making let's say three frame splits, right? So you just used 290 frames that now you have to replace. So either you have to make 290 frames.
They got to go back in them big hives.
Right. So it's just a time burn.
Right. And then they got to have time to build them frames up. And, you know, that's why I'll pick from one yard one time go to the other yard the next week, go to the other yard the next week, and then circle back. That way I can keep pulling,
and rotating older frames out.
rotating over frames. Yeah.
And that's for me, it didn't take me long to realize I didn't really like building frames. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know if it's lazy. I don't know if at first, when I first started, I was definitely in the mindset that I'm going to build my own nukes. I'm going to do all that stuff. And then the price of lumber started creeping up. And I'm like, okay, so I'm saving, let's say $5 a box. But now I'm out there all day long cutting, then I'm gluing and stapling or nailing, and then I'm back out there painting, right? So it became a whole thing where I could buy my boxes and assemble them and paint them, or I could even pay them $2 extra a box, and now they're already built for me. Now, I won't do that. The $2 if they were doing it the correct way with glue and everything,
Right.
I would continue to do that. But now it's like I'll just buy them unassembled and glue and nail them myself.
I buy my own boxes and assemble them myself, simply because I'll put them on the table saw before I glue them together and make 3 framers out of everything I get. First thing I do is putty the handles. And once I get the handles filled in, I'll run them across the table saw, make 3 framers out of them, and then I'll put my handles on them.
What do you do? Put cleats on?
Yeah, just a 2-inch board that runs all the way across. I don't have any brood boxes.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, do you have some type of hive lifter machine?
No. Now, I make my own bottom boards now. I used to not, but now I use a single pallet system.
Yeah, but what
the
I'm
only way I
getting
can
at-
explain that to you is you've seen the two box pallets like Ian uses. Cut that in half, basically, and then I can just dolly them anywhere I want. I use a fence staple.
You got a pallet under a single hive.
Right. It's just a single pallet.
Okay.
It's a single pallet. Like it's just like Ian uses, except cut it in half, basically.
Okay. So you make a pallet that's actually your bottom board with clips on it.
Well, what I do is I take a fence staple and nail that into the side of the pallet. Then I can just strap it. Boom, boom. I ain't got to crawl under it or nothing. Just throw it in that fence staple and then dolly it wherever I want to dolly it. Makes it simple. It's a one-man deal here, see. So I've got a tractor and all that, but it's too much. I don't want.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, okay, are you doing single brood chamber management?
No, it's too much work, and I don't want that much honey.
This right here is exactly the reason I switched LaGrange, because I bought so many boxes that when I bought the boxes, I started calculating the cost on how much it would cost me to frame them all out, right, with frames. And when I found out, oh, well, I could pay $2.30 for a heavy wax plastic frame, or the wood frame and foundation costing me $500 more to do the same thing, I bought 650 plastic frames that way by the case. And it's all about what works for you. I don't know if bees care that much. They're going to build comb wherever, right? So with the plastic frames, it just was more of a money savings. It's not about what I prefer or don't prefer. I prefer not to spend as much money.
Mark, you're using medium supers, honey supers?
Medium honey supers, yeah.
And
just easier for me to extract with a knife.
Right. Well, I'm getting at is my big thing is lifting. And it's like
weight.
Weight. And I'm looking at when I'm pulling honey supers off, like Mike Barry's got that hive lifting machine. And I'm looking at that thing and I'm like, man, that looks nice, but then it looks teeter-tottery and all that kind of stuff. And he's putting it on a, on a flatbed trailer and stuff.
Yeah.
But and that's always been my question amongst like guys like you, where you got 50 plus hives, is management, and you get this stock answer of, well, you don't treat them by the individual hive, you treat them by you treat the apiary. And I'm like, that don't tell me nothing. It's like, okay, I know if I'm going to do apiary strips, yeah, I'm going to go through each hive, strip, 2 strips in a 10 frame box or whatever.
Right.
I mean, that I understand that. Or if you're going to do April guard, you're going to put the gel and hit them with, let's say, 33 grams or whatever.
Right.
And do that 3 weeks out of the year, 3 weeks in a concession and all that. But when it comes to managing the hives so they don't swarm, I mean, I know you go out there and you look at I'll go out there several times a week about putting honey supers on, because the flow might be kicking in really strong,
Right.
and they're about 90%, 80% full. And I'm like, okay, I'll under super. I'll pull that super off, put another one. If it's really coming in hard, I'll put 2 empties under there and stuff like that. But my main thing is a lot of times you're kind of going through the hives, but you're digging into them, and it's like, I guess you have to kind of get out of digging into them. But to me, is how else do you know where they're at? Are they, do you need to pull brood out or add?
One thing that helped me is like having 3 yards. Okay. You don't have that many hives in a yard. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When I put queens in that yard, I'll requeen that whole yard at the same time. That's helped tremendously, because all of them queens should be pretty much at the same place. Okay. As far as age goes.
Right.
So it's easier to keep up with that way.
Now you're talking about a young queen as not wanting to swarm as much.
Right. Yeah. I mean, as long as you give her room. Yeah. But now, like I said, I'll go and I'll pull brood out, put blanks in. They've got to have time to build them blanks up.
Well, okay. You're equalizing.
Well, I'm basically setting them behind.
Yeah.
Each time I go do that, I'm keep setting them behind all year until I just can't keep up no more. And then I have to throw honey supers on, keep them from swarming. But by then, they're out of that swarm mode and they're into honey mode. You got me?
Yeah. I mean, with me, I do a single brood chamber thing where I'll go in there, and if I got 6 frames of capped brood, I'll pull half of that out of there and put 3 empties in. And then a lot of times I'll be watching my other hives and see maybe they're weak, and I'll throw those brood frames in there. Now, some people say, well, why are they weak? Why would you do that? I said, well, you got to put it someplace.
Right.
And it's like, you might make I haven't did it this year. I went in here and I had a queen that wasn't much. And I need to take better records of like, how old is this queen? And, when she was put in there, even though she might have a paint dot, they might wear it off, you'll lose that record. And, I've seen her in there. I'm like, I need to pet her through the honey crop season and then get rid of her. By that time, I'll have plenty of spare queens that I can, give her the hive test and put a new one in.
Move on,
And that's another thing, Bob, is when you start raising your own queens like that, the decision to get rid of an old queen, the money situation doesn't pop up in your head. It's like, oh, I got 10 queens sitting here. Just get rid of her and get another one put in there. And it just, because you don't have that $40 expense.
It did not, even this year, it was like my first couple years, like if I had a dead out or something, it like really like bugged me. This year, it was more like, I'll just split split this colony over. I'll merge this colony with this queen. It was just a different mindset. It wasn't. I understood not every colony was going to survive, right? So it was more about keeping the numbers up and making maneuvers that I could get the population up, and then if I needed to, I could split back. And with the queens, like you were saying, I was making money off a queen, so it didn't bother me if I had to go grab a new queen for myself.
Right.
And off
it's
that
sustainable.
Yeah, in my mind, it was more of a offsetting the cost of the bees that I got. So yeah, I mean, it didn't hurt my heart as much if something was not going to make it. I just went ahead and pulled the trigger and did what I thought I needed to do to make it better.
Now I just seen comment Lagrange Bees is Cayman selling that lifter that he demoed that one time about a year ago.
I
don't know. It's $1,200.
See, I'm getting into like when the mite count is at its highest after you pull your honey.
Yeah.
Basically pulling brood frames and counting mites in them frames, counting the mama mites. And that takes a lot of time. But I'm looking for the VS. I'm looking for strict VSH. I'm looking for the ones that's not letting them mites reproduce in the cell and scoring.
Yeah, well, you're doing it for a different reason because of what you're really into the genetic end of it.
Right.
And that's, you're doing it because of that.
That's what I'm saying. I've got to save time somewhere.
Right.
But from what I've seen, they can take care of them mites. You just got to do the right homework. And most people don't know what that homework is. You go out there and do a mite wash. Yeah, they're still going to have mites, but that don't mean their mama mites having babies. They're going to pick them up. They're going to pick up mites regardless. But if you count 200 or 300 cells and you don't have no mama mites in there raising babies, you've got something. You've got something that you want to breed off of.
Do you think the daughter queens that have those genetics, is that genetic passed on to those daughter queens?
It does. It does. Now, being open mated, all of them's not going to do as good, right?
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. You got to keep checking and you got to keep breeding from the ones that's got it.
Right.
Okay. Either that or you got to buy a breeder queen every year, which I can't afford to do that.
No.
So you check them. You don't just buy a breeder queen and raise the bees and then set them out there and say, okay, they're going to take care of the mites.
You got to put her to work.
They might first year, you've got to get out there and you've got to count the mites in the cells.
Yeah, I just want to, Brian from Flower Street there. I like your comment there about, whether to get into the hives and dig into them.
Yeah, that's me too. This year, I did not do as many hive inspections as I've done in the past. And a couple times it did cost me. I mean, there was hives that were strong the last time I looked in them. And then all of a sudden they were not there anymore. It's like, what the hell happened to them? And
well, like
that happens, Bob. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, it's like today I went through my nukes and I was checking mite drops from the chloroplast boards. And then I had a hive there where I had combined, it was a weak hive. And I had another hive that was queenless, which of course it was weak. It's going to die. So I combined all them together into one. I had labeled it on there. It was a weak hive. I checked it today. I seen bees going in and out, but I popped the top off and well, where's the bees at? Well, something's wrong here. And they were gone. That weak hive just didn't make it, which it doesn't upset me because I already know it was a month ago or over a month ago was in poor shape to begin with. Yeah. So just the way it is.
A lot of times, like when I'm raising queens, even in a 3-frame mating nuke, now I try to stay on a 21-day cycle. That way it gives them time to lay and give me a decent pattern in them and on at least one of them cones, right? I can look at them and tell whether it's one I want to keep or not. A lot of times after you've done it a while.
Now, are you looking at the pattern or are you talking about the varroa mite part of it?
The pattern. Yeah,
Pattern.
you can't really tell by the varroa mite with the, you know, really it's here's the thing. I'm not non-treatment. Okay. I do treat.
Oh yeah.
So really, if you're going to check like I'm checking, if you treat, you're getting an inaccurate count, correct? So you would not want to treat and then check your hives coming into spring when they're building up. Well, I can't do that because I treat. I'm not there yet. I don't have host resistance yet totally like I want. So I have to wait till mites are really bad and then check them.
As far
You're
as
with me?
as far
Like as soon as the honey comes off, I'm checking.
then your mite load is high, but you're also checking the brood. You're picking the brood open to see what you got underneath the cappings.
Right. Exactly.
And that way you can tell whether that queen is hygienic traits.
Right. Exactly. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Well, I'm at the point where I'm just a queen raiser or whatever producer, and you're more of a queen breeder. You're trying to be, you're honing your skills as a breeder.
It's an art.
And that's up here. That's a big level. That's a big.
But
level.
I'm not huge. Now I work 70 hours a week on a job. I'm a truck driver.
Oh yeah.
So it's time management.
Now see, that's what gets me. You got 75 hives. You do a truck driving job. You're working 70 hours. It's like, where do you get the time? And then
yeah, and I've got cancer on top of that, Charles.
And the energy level, Yeah.
Yeah. It's just I work at it.
Right.
It's like anything else. Ain't nothing in this world comes free. You gotta work for it.
Right.
Just like Bob selling his swarm lure. If he don't work at it, he ain't gonna sell none.
It's true.
Right.
Well, I do knock on wood. I've got a tentative dancing bee out of Canada wants to carry it in all of their locations, and they have 60 locations in Canada. So that's a blessing. I've got a couple places in the States that are Hilco's gonna have it at Hive Life. Bohemia Bees is gonna be selling it. So it's everything starts from somewhere, right? And
That's right.
that's why I told everybody when I made it that I will never have it higher. I hate to say never because that's a long time, right? But as long as the pricing on all the stuff that it takes me to make it, it'll never be higher than $15.99 on my website. So if they're ordering it, let's face it, the only people that buy from my website are people that watch this stream, right? So they're going to always get the best price on it from my website. And that's a good thing, for our viewers, right? And just I'm not trying to get rich on anybody or anything like that. I'm just trying to make my way, like everybody else.
That's what I'm doing.
And
well, the biggest thing is, Bob, is like you're building your hives up.
mm-hmm.
I think that your honey production will go up this year. It'll probably double, maybe triple, hopefully. And it's like me. I mean, I've been at it, I think 14 years. And I do some, queens are relatively new for me. And then the nukes, and then I do the honey. And they're, I make a profit. I mean, my bees pay for my expenses.
Yep.
And I also have a profit, not much, nothing that I can make a living at it, but
Right.
I'm not at that level and I don't really want to be at that level. But it pays. I can go to Hive Life and pay for all the expense to that. There's no problem. The bees will pay for that.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's like Mark said several times. It's just about sustainability.
It's a state. If you get up, you got to get beyond, let's say 5 hives in the backyard. You got to get a dozen hives or more as far as honey goes.
You've got to have resources.
Yeah, you got to have some size about you. You got to have 20 or 30 hives,
Yeah.
and then they'll pay for themselves, and they'll pay you a little bit of money, and then the overall thing for me is just what we're doing here right now is the friendship that friendship and friends are way more important, and
Right.
having Bob as a friend and Lee and Mark here and like tonight to me it's been fabulous because Mark with his knowledge and really talking some high-end bee talk, put it that way.
I probably got a dozen.
For me, my profit, if I make any profit, it feeds all my other animals. My bees feed my horses, my dogs, my cats, my wife's chickens or turkeys or ducks.
Yeah.
That feeds all of my other animals, and it takes
I
that
know
deal
that darn
off of
horses
me.
will eat you alive.
Right. So,
because that's what we do here.
It keeps the farm going, basically.
Well, it's like with me, we got the farm here, and now my son has taken over, but that's what he did yesterday and today is haul hay. And we have in our area, the hobby horse owner is pretty big, and we always sold to the horse girls, round bales and square bales, and now he's taken over the last several years, and he's expanded it, and just he's buying hay and selling hay, and
I've got a little feist dog, and I've started trying to train her to tell me which hive is queenless.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I ain't got there yet, but we're working at it.
Well, the bee inspector lives near me. She's the state inspector for Maryland. Well, let's see. Right now she's got 2 dogs, but they trained them for American foul brood. And
that would be pretty easy, I think.
Yeah.
They stink.
She actually had the Maryland State Police help her out.
Yeah.
Because she's a state employee, they had to help her train her dogs.
Right.
And she was telling about the one dog was more like a lab. He would lick the hive because the scent that they used to train him was on some kind of something that a dog would like want to chew on, So he kind of gets the scent and everything by either licking and smelling. Of course, you can only use the dogs in the wintertime. And then the second dog she has is a newer dog. That dog is more, I think it looks like a beagle to me. And
mine's mixed, kind of a feist and beagle mixed. Short dog.
Well, he smells the air. So I don't know how he was trained, but he smells the air around the hives. He'll sniff, in towards the front of the hives, and they seem to work well because she's probably inspecting 400 or 500, let's say 400 hives for a tractor and trailer load going out to almonds and stuff like that.
Right. I want her to be able to, when I go out to the yard, she just walk around to every hive and she'll sit right there. If one's queenless, she'll sit right there and let me know that hive's queenless.
How did you train her that? How did you train her to know that?
I got a bunch of 5-frame nukes out there, okay, on one area. And I just took a 5-frame nuke with a bunch of pulled cone and set it in there. Start walking her by and put me a hot dog right on the one that was queenless.
Thank you, Brian, for your order on the website.
So she knows that hot dog's on that. So she starts going to the one that's queenless to get her hot dog, basically.
Okay.
Then you take the hot dog away. Then you start giving her the hot dog. It's just a process. I'm not there yet, because dogs have a mind of their own.
It's the technique that you're using, I think, is sort of similar the way that her dogs were sort of trained.
Right.
Like
They do the dope dogs the
find,
same way,
if they find American foul brood, I think they get to play with something or something like that.
Right.
I forget what it was.
But I'm looking for queenless hives. That way, I've got 100 possible queens out there. She can sit down by the box before I even open me which one's queenless.
That's
save me some time.
Oh, that save you a huge amount of time. That's like having it's like a cowboy having an extra set of hands when the dog is herding the cattle up, without him having to run the horse around.
Right. Exactly. It's just I put a lot of thought into it, but I'm not there yet. And she's getting old, so I don't know if she'll ever do it or not. But after she's gone, I'll start over and keep trying it.
Yeah.
She'll pick some, and some she won't. It's just the way to go sometimes. But now we only been working at it about 6 months, so give it another year.
You're doing something that nobody else has.
Right.
And I mean, if you got 100 hives out there and you can find, and she can tell you these 3 are queenless, that saves you a ton of time.
All day long.
That's right.
Yeah.
I like that you fellas on. I don't even have to talk much. I can just sit back and listen.
Well, I mean, it's like you say,
it's a thought process. I mean, when you really think about stuff, being a country boy, okay, and being around beagles and coonhounds and all that all my life, I'm like, why not? I could do this, So
I just wish that you were closer to the house. I'd come and help you just to observe on how the management thing, Yeah. I look at like yourself where, like you say, you got 75 highs. I'm like, hell no. And plus you got a day job.
Yeah.
It's like,
and I used to drive truck. That's those are 10-hour days.
14-hour days.
Yeah. But how'd you get across DOT on that? Got them only 12-hour days,
We can drive 11 and work 14.
Okay.
So I don't drive that much. I only do like 22 or 300 miles a week, but I have a lot of stops. I unload.
What are you hauling or anything?
Sausage.
I
have like 15 Bob trucks I do all over the country. Okay, and they order 2 or 3 pallets of product. I load the truck.
I used to drive for CR England, and they broke me when they when they sent me through the yard right there, right in West Valley City, Utah, and I went
was your first mistake, Bob.
And then they made
CR England.
Yeah, well, yeah, I agree. But then they went ahead and had me drop my load in there because I had to get service on my truck, right? Then they made me pick up one that was a garden, like plants. So I'm like, okay, well, that's no problem. But then I had to go around to like Home Depots and Lowe's dropping off plants that I had to hand unload because
Did you pick them up in Texas?
No, they were dropped. I don't know where they picked them up at. They were dropped off at the yard, and I just repowered a load, right?
Hey, Mark.
I've done that before at Lowe's.
Yeah.
I have 15 Lowe's store to have to deliver roses too.
and they got shelves built into the back of the trailer with 2x4s and plywood.
Yep.
So you have to tear it out as you're unloading. You unload them, and then you got to break the stuff down.
You carry a claw hammer and a hammer.
Yep.
Or a breaking bar and a claw hammer.
Mark, Flower Street here, which is Brian. Do you think the dog knows by smell or hearing, or both?
Probably both.
Okay.
Well,
Probably
we've got
both.
dogs.
But I would say mostly smell.
Yeah.
We've got dogs that sniff out for bed bugs with my company.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that.
And
I would say smell, Charlie, because you've got 10 hives there. They're all making noise,
Yeah.
and they're side by side. So,
Well,
Yeah.
it's 11 o'clock, guys. I got to go to work tomorrow. So
as do I.
I'm off.
you're off.
I'm going to be doing OA tomorrow. I got to get another yard done.
How are you doing the OA with what?
I got a Laura Bees vaporizer.
Robbie.
Laura Bees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He lives about a half hour from my house.
I like the one I got. In fact, I'd like to sell it and get me one of them battery operated ones, but I ain't going to. I'll just take what I got. I got a generator. I'll throw it in the back truck and go.
That's what I do.
Works pretty good.
I got a Provat, that
Same difference.
Bob's got same thing, and bought them when they first come out. And I got, like you say, a Honda generator, and I just can't see spending that extra money for all that other stuff.
It would be nice, especially nukes, because when I sell a nuke, I like to vape them before they go out.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I know you ain't going to get all the mites in the cappings or whatever, but you get some if there's any in there.
Well, I checked mine today. I vaped them twice in 2 weeks, and they're averaging just the drops on the chloroplast board, about 10 to 20 mites, which really ain't nothing. A year ago, I had one nuke that it probably had 1,000 mites. I mean, you don't have to count them. You just look, and it was just the whole darn thing was full of them. And I cured them, after 3 vapes, but the rest of the hives were, 10, 15, 20 of them mites per sheet. And so I vape them a couple of times a month. I vaped them twice this month so far. I'll wait till next month and get some nice days like we had today, or one. I like around 48 degrees where they're still in the hive, but I know they're loose. And hit them with that vapor.
We're in the 50s here, so it's perfect. About 12 o'clock.
You get a 48, 49 degrees. At 50, they'll start to fly a little bit. I don't like trying to fight them. I block the front of the hive up with some styrofoam. If you're at 48, 49 degrees, they're not out there. They're loose. They'll kind of come out after you. But if you can block that front off without having to smoke them, and it just goes faster. That's why I like it at that point in time.
I just use a wet rag, slap it up there.
Yeah.
Hole in the back.
So anyway, I got a hole in the back. So what I do, I like that. I got, do you do any videotaping out there when you're working or not?
No.
Okay.
I don't even have a YouTube channel. I don't have time.
Yeah, I know what you mean there. I'm trying to put up video, and there's sometimes I had some good scenes, but it's like, I got to get this work done.
Right.
Like, I don't have time to video. So
I'm not even going to Hive Life. I don't. I only get so many vacations, and I have to go to Houston every year for treatment and whatnot. So for cancer, so I have to burn a week right there just doing that to get paid.
Right.
So I can't really.
But how are you
spend the time to go?
How are you feeling with the cancer?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been about 5 years now. I've had 2 surgeries. It's set in my lungs. I've got stage 2 lung cancer. But I got the slow growing kind, which is a good thing if the cancer is good, right? So
the best option for cancer if you can have it.
Yeah. It's papillary carcinoma, what they call it.
Well,
so it's real slow growing. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I have to be on hormone replacement. Basically, I can't live without that pill.
Right.
So that's your energy.
Right.
Your thyroid is your energy metabolizer. Okay, so I'm replacing that energy with that pill, basically. But it ain't like speed. It's like your hormones
Right.
metabolizing your energy, right? It's a
So like
it's a big
Synthroid
deal.
or something?
Sir,
So like Synthroid or something like that?
Synthroid, yeah, that, and have to do the radiation peel,
Okay.
iodine radiation peel.
Right.
You had to. I can't even pet my dog for a week and a half. Can't see nobody. I have to stay in a room by myself because you got that radiation in your body.
Yep.
Had to
Very
go through all that.
I actually worked at nuclear pharmacy. That's what we did.
Yeah.
When the hospital orders it, we would send that stuff to the hospital for the patient.
Right.
Very familiar with it.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go. I'll be at Hive Life and all, and I'm working on my what is it? As Greg Burns calls it, swag.
Swag.
Yeah,
Swag.
I got the lady here that's a good embroidery. I got a hoodie. She's going to put my logo on the back and up on
Cool.
the front chest pocket, and I usually wear a hat, so gonna put a patch or something up on the hat, see how that works and stuff. So
Yeah, I've got some hats made up. I like them.
Brian, I already got you packaged up, ready to go. So put that.
All right, well, Mark, don't
Well,
come on some more. Here, what is it? Tuesday nights?
Yeah, don't be a stranger. For
Yeah,
sure.
come on. I love
on
to talk
Tuesday
to you.
nights and Hillbilly Highs on Thursday nights, and
Stream team on Wednesday nights and
Bob Benny comes on Sunday morning.
every day of the week.
Ian, I don't ever know when Ian's going to be on there.
Well, Bob, he puts out his videos usually Sunday mornings.
Yeah.
I usually eat breakfast and watch Bob.
Well, you heard what they've got to put in the patties that's going to kill the beetles. Did you hear that the other day?
I watched something on it, but I haven't watched like the whole thing, so I need to go back.
Well, they hadn't got it approved yet, but it's already approved for livestock, so it's probably going to go through. And that'll be great. It kills the beetles, but it don't affect the bees in any way.
And who's doing this? Who's making it?
Some kind of research place. I don't know. It was on Bob Benny's channel a couple of Sundays ago.
Does anybody know what it was called? The chemical or whatever?
X grub, or I don't know. Kent was talking about it the other day at the club. Kent was speaking.
I think
he told me, but I forgot.
That a product that you could spray on the ground? I think it is.
Yes, I think it's in that.
Yeah, I
some
see
kind
that.
of powder that's in that they're playing with.
It's you can buy that stuff in your lawn and garden center. I don't know what somebody popped it up there, and you can actually put it on the ground, which will kill the pupation of the beetles.
It's for grubs.
Grubs and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching that video. That's the guy that from England or whatever, and all.
But they're trying to get it approved to put in the hive, so and it should go through. And if it does, you mix it with your patties. Boom! You kill the beetles. That'll be great.
Yeah.
And it doesn't kill the bees; it just kills the beetles.
Right.
Just go buy those and spray it around your hives, so you don't have to break any laws to do it.
And see, Bob, I'm right opposite when it comes to beetles. You're feeding them in a baggie. You're feeding the pollen or patty in the baggie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want anything around that pollen patty. I want full access to bees to access that patty all the way around.
Well,
and I don't have no beetle problems.
Mine were not eating it fast enough for the beetles.
That's why I put full access to the patty, and boom, it's gone.
Well,
where you put it in that bag takes them a lot longer to eat it.
It does, but when I had them with full access, I was having much more beetle problems. But when they're in the bag, if the beetles do get in there, only when they start. Once they start eating the center out of where I cut it, they can expand in the bag and got a lot of access. But if the beetles get in there and lay the larvae are trapped in the baggie. So you can just grab the whole baggie and throw it in the freezer and kill them all, or just pull it off the colony.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to tell you one time. I don't remember. I'll take a piece of wood, a little old bitty, make me a little square about 5-6 inches, just big enough as a size of a patty.
Right.
Put number 8 hardware wire, staple it all the way around. That sets it up off the frames that far, right? Put your patty on top of that. Bees have full access from up under and on top. Put a shim on. I run a lot of shims. I mean, I got shims everywhere. All right. Put
Right.
shim on and then put your patty on top of that. They've got full access to it. You'll find that you don't have near the larva. Now, like if I pull the top 10 frame box up and throw a pound of pollen patty up in there and then set the hive back down on it,
Right.
they'll get them because you got all them frames crunched up together on it. Beetles have a place to hide. No, you don't want beetles to have anywhere to hide
Right.
to that anywhere around that pollen patty. And
All right. Wow.
see, I want everything though. When I open the hive, I want a bee that's going to attack that beetle and roll over and just body slam him, and you got 10 more over here ready to kill him.
Right.
That's what I want. And I look for that.
Well, this year the beetles were not as bad. I was using peppermint most of the year, and that seemed
It works.
And I haven't had near the problems. And last year I used Swiffer sheets, and that caught a lot. But it catches bees too, but it catches a lot of beetles.
Right.
I'm just trying to break the cycle of them to be able to reproduce and stuff. So, but it was better this year by far, far better than it's been in the past.
Just try it one time. Just like I said, just set that patty up on a piece of wire. You can even use a push-in cage. I know you know what a push-in cage is. Yeah. Just set that patty up on top of that push-in cage. Put you a shim up there. Give them bees full access to that patty. Come back later and see if you got larvae on it.
And how fast they devour it.
Yeah. Check it every day if you want to. See if you got larvae.
All right.
It makes a difference.
I'll give it a go for sure.
Yeah.
Well, all right, guys. It's 3 hours and 32 minutes in. We still have 17 people watching, but I got to go to work in the morning. Charlie's got to go to work in the morning. Mark's got to do oxalic acid. So
he's got to work bees.
He's got to work bees. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and call it. I appreciate you guys coming in tonight, and hopefully you guys saw some Black Friday sales and learned something or figured something out. A lot of times I'll hear something and it'll lead me down a rabbit hole of doing something.
It's good talking to y'all, Bob, Charlie. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Well, I enjoyed the good information and all the high-end, information as far as, high-end beekeeping. So,
I'll get y'all's email next time. We don't got late right now, but I'll get y'all's email and email y'all. And
for sure.
We'll do that.
And if anybody's still, we got some people. I did put a 20% code out for Black Friday on the website. That's good until Saturday, guys. It's BF20, Black Friday 20, and I get 20% off of any order on the website. And look at Lee dropping my email. He's supposed to be sitting there with the stream deck making comments. But
usually Lee comes in here, don't he?
Yeah.
It's Thanksgiving. People spending time with their family. Only us no-life beekeepers. That's why we call it the no-life beekeeper chat. We just hang out and talk to our buds about beekeeping and whatever else people want to talk.
All right, y'all. I'm going to get off here so we can all get out of here.
All right. We'll see you.
Right. We'll see y'all later. Thanks, guys.
Later.
Bye.
All right. I guess